Overnight reversal, being wildly pursued by the goddess campus Belle. At 9 o'clock in the morning at Huahai Hospital, intern Chen Fan changed the patient's dressing as usual. When he walked into the senior ward, he found a shocking scene. The beautiful doctor, Su Xinran, known as the hospital flower, was being molested. Su Xinran struggled desperately but to no avail. Her big and bright eyes were covered with a layer of mist, which made her look particularly pitiful. The man who did it was named Hou Zhentao, the young master of Tianchen Group, and the largest shareholder of this hospital was Tianchen Group. Hou Zhentao covered Su Xinran's mouth with one hand and tore her clothes roughly with the other hand. His face was flushed, like a beast in heat. Before Chen Fan could react, Hou Zhentao suddenly stood up and slapped him in the face. "Get out." Chen Fan's face was burning with pain, and his blood rushed, and he stared angrily. "You can't hear me telling you to get out, right? What? You're not convinced? Forget about a slap. Even if I kill you, there won't be any consequences. Fight with me. Who gave you the courage? This hospital is owned by our family. I can make you pack up and leave with just one word. I just bullied you. What can you do? If you have the guts, try to touch me." After saying this, Hou Zhentao really leaned forward. Seeing Chen Fan's livid face, he sneered. While patting Chen Fan's face, he said contemptuously, "You are useless even though I gave you a chance. Coward. Get out of my sight quickly, or I will let you know what regret is." Hou Zhentao was full of pride. As soon as he finished speaking, a fist hit him in the face. "I regret your mother." Chen Fan roared. "This bastard is too bullying. Does having money mean you can trample on other people's dignity at will?" After one punch, Hou Zhentao was stunned. He subconsciously touched his face and actually had a nosebleed. Hou Zhentao's face was extremely ugly. As the young master of Tianchen Group, when had he ever suffered such a big loss? "Chen Fan, are you crazy? You dare to touch young master Hou?" A roar came from behind. It was Wang Wei, the vice president of the hospital, who rushed over after hearing the noise. Several department heads also arrived at the scene at the first time. They said to Chen Fan aggressively, "You actually hurt young master Hou's face like this. Chen Fan, you are guilty of a heinous crime. Chen Fan, do you know how much trouble you have caused to the hospital? Why are you still standing here? Apologize. Are you okay, young master Hou? It's all my fault. I didn't manage it properly. I will deal with this matter seriously today." It was obviously just a little nosebleed, but the way everyone was furious and concerned about each other seemed as if Hou Zhentao had broken his hands and feet. Although Su Xinran stood up and pointed out that it was Hou Zhentao who started it first. But several leaders seemed to be deaf and kept asking Chen Fan to apologize. A colleague who had a good relationship with Chen Fan also whispered, "Apologize, people have to bow their heads under the eaves. Is it enough to just apologize? When did my face become so worthless?" Hou Zhentao said arrogantly, "I want him to kneel in front of the hospital for 3 days. Kneel at work every day and leave after get off work. Salary will be paid. How about it? This request is not excessive, right?" "Not excessive, of course not excessive." Dean Huang nodded quickly. "Kneeling is indeed a bit humiliating, but it also depends on the situation. It is reasonable to kneel down after offending the young master of Tianchen Group." He said, "Chen Fan, why don't you thank young master Hou for giving you this opportunity?" Chen Fan's face turned red with anger, and his veins suddenly appeared. Just a layer of skin was broken, and he had to kneel for 3 days, and the other party was at fault first. Why should he suffer such humiliation? Just because he has no money? Dean Huang said, "Chen Fan, I'm giving you a chance because you work hard. Don't be ungrateful. If you don't handle this matter today, don't blame me for notifying your school. Injuring someone maliciously and refusing to apologize. This alone is enough to prevent you from getting your diploma. Think about it carefully. This is a naked threat." Chen Fan clenched his fists and said angrily, "I didn't do anything wrong, why should I apologize? If I have to apologize, he should apologize. And you? As the vice president of the hospital, you can't tell right from wrong, and you confuse right and wrong. You flatter the powerful, and you bully the weak and fear the strong. What qualifications do you have to sit in this position? Chen Fan." Dean Huang was shaking with anger. "How dare you talk to me like that? Do you know what the consequences of doing so are?" "Of course I know." Chen Fan said in a sonorous tone, "Unfortunately, I am born with a hard bone, and I can't kneel down even if I want to. If you want to flatter others, that's your business, but don't drag me into it. Isn't it just a job? I don't care." Bang! Chen Fan slammed his white coat and work card on the table together, turned around and left. The leaders were so angry that their faces turned blue. Everyone looked at each other in amazement. Su Xinran, on the other hand, had a strange look in her eyes. Several leaders hurriedly apologized to Hou Zhentao. No one cared whether Chen Fan stayed or not. Now taking care of young master whose mood was the most important thing. Hou Zhentao's eyes were full of disdain. A small person really took himself seriously? Ridiculous. After leaving the hospital, Chen Fan was a little confused. After offending so many people, he would definitely not be able to work in the medical field. He had no idea where to go. But he did not regret what he did today. His mother taught him a sentence: "A poor man can have a strong will." This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Chen Fan has always remembered this sentence. Looking back at the place where he had worked for several months, Chen Fan took a deep breath and strode away. When walking through an alley, he was suddenly hit hard on the back of his head. Bang! Chen Fan had no time to react and fell to the ground. A dozen burly men appeared behind him and beat him up without saying a word. These people were extremely ruthless and had a clear goal. They were obviously coming for him. Chen Fan had always been kind to others and had never offended anyone. Moreover, these people followed him right after he left the hospital. Even with his toes, he could figure out what was going on. It must be Hou Zhentao's revenge. And it seemed that these people were going to beat him to death. Chen Fan was extremely angry. But he was no match for so many people at all. He was beaten even worse after trying to resist. After more than 10 minutes, the weather turned cloudy and it was about to rain before these people stopped and left. Chen Fan in the alley was covered in blood and wounds. He couldn't even lift a finger. Boom! Suddenly there was a thunderclap and heavy rain poured down. Chen Fan couldn't move, like a dog that was beaten to death and abandoned in the wilderness. Gradually, he fell asleep and had a very strange dream. In the dream, there was an old man in a wide robe, wearing a tall crown, stepping towards him. The surrounding scene changed, and the fleeting light and shadow made it difficult to see clearly. In the end, only the old man's extremely magnificent voice remained. "I will pass on to you the Xinwu medical secret, and I hope you can help the world with your pot and the people with your tripod." Chapter 2, Their First Signs of Greatness. This isn't a dream. A sudden thought sprang to Chen Fan's mind. The information flooding into his brain was so detailed that it couldn't have been a dream. He jerked awake and, sure enough, the knowledge seemed to be imprinted in his mind, crystal clear. To further confirm, he began to practice using the methods from the immortal martial medicine technique for a while. The changes in his body were almost immediate and drastic. Chen Fan felt an overwhelming surge of strength. One punch could probably kill a cow. His healing abilities were even more monstrous. Many of his broken bones began to visibly heal at an astonishing speed. Additionally, he discovered that he had gained a new ability, X-ray vision. Within a 10-meter radius, nothing could hide from his eyes at the mere thought. Though this ability could only be used for 10 minutes a day, it was still incredibly powerful. After realizing all this, Chen Fan was ecstatic. His first thought was to seek revenge on the hospital. However, his priority was to heal his own injuries first. He couldn't return to the hospital, so he sought out the largest traditional Chinese medicine clinic nearby, Yonghertang. The doctors at the clinic were horrified by his injuries and immediately suggested he go to a major hospital for treatment. They insisted that only Western medicine could treat such serious injuries, and that traditional Chinese medicine wouldn't suffice. But Chen Fan refused, telling them he didn't need their treatment. All he needed was a set of silver needles. These were just small injuries, easily dealt with. The staff at the clinic looked at him as if he were a fool. They instinctively refused, but Chen Fan's persistence wore them down, and they reluctantly handed him a set of silver needles. Chen Fan gently flicked the needle's tail and skillfully inserted the needles into several key acupoints on his chest. The apprentices at the clinic remained disdainful, but the few senior doctors' expressions changed immediately. Chen Fan's needling technique was astonishingly proficient, and the accuracy of his placement suggested that he was no novice. He looked like an old, seasoned acupuncturist who had spent decades perfecting his craft. Though they had never seen such a needle technique before, they could feel the immense power within it. The method was extraordinary, and its origins were clearly not ordinary. How could such a young man have mastered such an advanced technique? At that moment, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up outside the clinic. An elderly man with white hair, dressed in a Zhongshan suit, stepped out of the car. This man was Zhu Juyan, the owner of the clinic. However, his identity was for more than that. Zhu Juyan was a national treasure-level figure, having treated numerous high-ranking officials in the capital and Zhonghai in his youth. With connections reaching the highest echelons of power, he had retired to Zhonghai to live a quieter life. In Huahai, both the underworld and the legitimate world showed him great respect. The apprentices hurried to greet him, but were immediately dismissed by Zhu Juyan with a wave of his hand. All of Zhu Juyan's attention was now on Chen Fan. As a renowned doctor, his vision was far beyond that of ordinary people. He could immediately tell that Chen Fan's needling technique was not ordinary. Zhu Juyan observed closely, and after a few moments of careful thought, he was shocked. Tai Divine Needle. Could this be the legendary Tai Divine Needle? Chen Fan was equally surprised. He never expected anyone to recognize such a mystical technique. Zhu Juyan's heart surged with shock. He had read about this divine needle technique in an ancient text. It was rumored that the Tai Divine Needle could unlock the body's latent potential, heal injuries in record time, and even provide miraculous treatments for many incurable diseases. He had thought it was just a legend, but now, he was witnessing it firsthand. Moreover, he could clearly see that Chen Fan's injuries were rapidly healing. Some of his broken bones seemed to be mending. Normally, fractures would require surgical procedures such as metal plates to hold the bones in place for months before the healing process could even begin. But under the effect of the Tai Divine Needle, this healing was happening in an instant. It was incredible. What is this Tai Divine Needle? Is the clinic owner mistaken? I've never heard of such a needle technique. The apprentices whispered among themselves. After all, this was the kind of thing you'd read about in novels. How could they believe it? After the acupuncture was complete, Chen Fan did a quick checkup on himself. To his amazement, all the fractures had disappeared. There wasn't even the slightest trace of a break. All his injuries had healed. This was unbelievable. Zhu Juyan hurried over, his posture respectful as he asked, "Senior, may I ask if the needle technique you just used was the legendary Tai Divine Needle?" Chen Fan replied nonchalantly, "So what if it was?" Zhu Juyang's eyes widened with excitement. "Senior, could you please teach me this needle technique? I am willing to become your disciple. I will serve you for life." Zhu Juyang knew this request was outlandish. After all, such needle techniques were often considered sacred, passed down only in the strictest of lineages. It was virtually impossible for them to be shared with outsiders. But after practicing medicine for decades, this was the first time he had encountered such an extraordinary technique, and he simply couldn't pass up this opportunity. He expected Chen Fan to be angry, maybe even insult him, but to his surprise, Chen Fan agreed immediately. "Teach you?" "Sure." Really?" Zhu Juyan was overjoyed. I don't know how to thank you, Senior, for your great kindness." Chen Fan casually waved his hand. "This needle technique is nothing much. But I don't have time to teach you now, I have other matters to attend to." Zhu Juyang immediately became eager. "What can I help you with, Senior?" "The Zhu family is at your service. I'm looking for someone. The young master of Tianchen Group, Hou Zhentao. If you can help me find him, you'll be doing me a huge favor." Zhu Juyan raised his chin proudly. "Has that little brat from the Hou family offended you? Let me make a call. The Hou family will give me this face." However, Chen Fan refused without hesitation. Revenge was something he wanted to handle personally. And the sooner, the better. Though it's often said that a gentleman takes 10 years to get back at his enemies, who could resist the satisfaction of exacting revenge immediately? Hou Zhentao had used his power to bully others and allowed people to commit violence. If Chen Fan hadn't received the legacy of the immortal doctor, he would already be dead. Such a grudge, how could it go unpunished? At first, Chen Fan hadn't expected much. He just wanted to speed up the search by involving more people. But to his surprise, in less than 10 minutes, Hou Zhentao's location was found. Chapter 3, The Rising Killing Intent. In the heart of Huahai City, there was a landmark building, 33 meters tall, all in shining gold. This place was called Jinxiujiangnan, a bustling venue where all manner of food, entertainment, and luxury could be found. As long as you had money, you could indulge in whatever pleasures you desired. It was a famous gold sink. At this moment, the lights of the city were beginning to glow, and Jinxiujiangnan was filled with excitement and activity. But no one noticed the huge shadow that passed quickly across the back of the building, like a gecko darting out of sight. The shadow was none other than Chen Fan. He had discovered that Hou Zhentao was currently on the 18th floor of Jinxiujiangnan. Revenge had to come swiftly. Chen Fan could not wait another moment. The thought of vengeance consumed him. He was desperate to take action. If he didn't take revenge now, he would not be able to find peace in either body or mind. So, once he tracked Hou Zhentao's location, he immediately rushed over. Soon enough, he found Hou Zhentao. Hou Zhentao was surrounded by several people, the same ones who had tried to kill Chen Fan earlier that day. This group of people were injecting something into their arms and thighs, looking utterly blissful as they did so. They were smoking and behaving shamelessly. Chen Fan's blood boiled at the sight of these degenerates, and he was ready to lash out at them. But just then, knock, knock. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Hou Zhentao seemed to know who it was, and without hesitation, opened the door. The person who entered was someone Chen Fan recognized. It was none other than the vice dean of the hospital, Huang Wei. Huang Wei was pulling a large suitcase behind him. Once inside, he quickly closed the door and acted mysteriously. Chen Fan was puzzled. Huang Wei's attire didn't suggest he was going anywhere far. What was the suitcase for? Soon enough, Huang Wei opened the suitcase, and to Chen Fan's shock, it was filled with clothes or belongings. It contained a person. Inside the case was a woman. She was wearing a white lab coat, her features delicate, her skin pale, and her figure irresistibly alluring. It was Su Xinran. Though she was still breathing, her consciousness was completely gone. She had clearly been drugged. She hadn't even had time to change out of her hospital uniform, which meant she must have been drugged at the hospital. Good job, Lao Huang. Hou Zhentao's eyes lit up with lust as he looked at the woman in the suitcase. It's an honor to serve young Master Hu, Huang Wei grinned. Now, about my promotion. Don't worry, no problem. My father will speak on your behalf in the city. Once Director Yang retires, the position of hospital director will definitely be yours. Hou Zhentao replied confidently. Thank you, young Master Hu, for your support. Huang Wei's smile stretched wide. At this moment, Hou Zhentao gave a wicked grin and ordered, set up the cameras, make sure to record every detail. If this little girl dares to report us, we'll show her the footage of our battle results. Several of Hou Zhentao's subordinates swiftly set up cameras, pointing them at Su Xinran. Their movements were practiced, clearly not their first time engaging in such despicable acts. Who knew how many innocent girls had already fallen prey to their hands? Chen Fan's killing intent surged. He could no longer suppress his fury. With a loud crash, he shattered the window and leapt inside. These scum, how dare they break the law and act with impunity? Such filth, didn't he deserve to live? He would bring justice today. It's you? Hou Zhentao was stunned. Wasn't this the same loser he had ordered to be killed earlier? Even if the guy had miraculously survived, he should have been badly wounded, so why did he look perfectly fine now? The henchmen were equally stunned. They had personally beaten Chen Fan into a pulp earlier that morning. How could he be standing here, unharmed? Kill him! Hou Zhentao ordered without hesitation. How Chen Fan had survived was irrelevant. The important thing was that he had seen what he shouldn't have. Now, he had to die. Previously, he had escaped by sheer luck, but this time, there was no mercy. As soon as the order was given, several of Hou Zhentao's men lunged at Chen Fan. The leader drew a knife and lunged toward Chen Fan's chest. Normally, Chen Fan would have fled in this situation, but today, he didn't retreat. He extended a finger and pointed. The man instantly froze, his body numb as if he had been struck by lightning. He crumpled to the ground like a rag doll, and the knife clattered away. Chen Fan repeated the move, taking out the rest of the henchmen one by one. The once formidable enemies now seemed weak and helpless, like pigs or dogs before him. Chen Fan realized that everything he was experiencing was real. Hou Zhentao and Huang Wei were both stunned. How had this insignificant person become so powerful? Chen Fan approached Hou Zhentao, who no longer had the same arrogance. Trying to regain some composure, he bluffed, "What do you want?" "I'll tell you, my father is the chairman of Tianchen Group." Slap. Before he could finish, Chen Fan slapped him hard across the face. "You dare strike me?" Slap. "You're finished. I'll kill you," Hou Zhentao shouted, his voice full of rage. Slap, slap, slap. "Big brother, let us talk this through." "I surrender, I admit defeat," Hou Zhentao groaned, now desperate. "I'll give you money, lots of money. 1 million. 10 million. Anything. Just let me go." At this point, Wang Wei chimed in, "Yes, yes, Chen Fan, please, don't do anything rash. You're still young, don't make any mistakes. You know, the last thing we want is for you to get caught up in something illegal." "What happened earlier was my mistake," Wang Wei continued, trying to placate Chen Fan. "You can come back to work tomorrow, I'll have you officially hired. Work hard, and I guarantee you'll be promoted to chief physician within 3 years." Both men were desperately trying to calm Chen Fan down. Of course, they were just putting on a show. Deep down, they were plotting how to make Chen Fan's life miserable once this passed. Especially Hou Zhentao. In his life, he had always crushed those who opposed him, never had anyone dared to force him into such a position. Now, he was already thinking of ways to get back at Chen Fan. Simply killing him wouldn't be enough. He wanted to break Chen Fan into pieces, grind his bones to dust, and feed his remains to the dogs. Only then could his hatred be satisfied. "Are you done talking?" Chen Fan glanced coldly at them. "If you're done, then go die." "Wait." Hou Zhentao never imagined that Chen Fan would actually kill them. Before he could finish his plea, his heart was shattered, and he died instantly from suffocation. The rest of Hou Zhentao's men met the same fate. Wang Wei, terrified out of his mind, wet himself and fell to his knees, desperately begging for mercy. But Chen Fan showed no signs of pity. Today, he had come for revenge, but seeing their despicable actions, he made his final decision. These people didn't deserve to live. They were a waste of space, better off dead. After finishing what he set out to do, Chen Fan picked up the unconscious Su Xinran and jumped out the window. One step, one kill. No trace left behind. That's what a real man should be like. 10 minutes later, a piercing scream echoed from Jingsu Jiangnan. But that, by then, was no longer Chen Fan's concern. Chapter 4. Things got out of hand. The next morning, Chen Fan woke up slowly. The first thing that caught my eye was a stunningly beautiful face. Su Xinran had her eyes slightly closed, sleeping peacefully, her long eyelashes slightly curled up, making her look playful and cute. Below that is their high nose bridge and cherry mouth. Su Xinran hugged Chen Fan tightly like a koala. A pair of long and beautiful legs were placed on Chen Fan without any gap. Especially when 2 soft lumps are pressed against my arms, the feeling is simply unparalleled. Chen Fan was stunned. "Didn't you put this little girl on the sofa yesterday? When did she go to bed? And you hold me so tightly. This is a test of my concentration. Forget it, I'd better wake her up, otherwise I'll make a mistake." Thinking of this, Chen Fan pushed it. Su Xinran's long eyelashes trembled slightly. She opened her eyes and a male face appeared in front of her. She was frozen like a frightened little animal. A few seconds later. "R!" The loud screams were about to blow the roof off. Su Xinran immediately pulled the quilt over her, covering herself tightly, and with her other hand she grabbed the pillow and threw it at Chen Fan. "You bastard! Misunderstanding, misunderstanding. Su Xinran, it's me. Chen Fan." Chen Fan said speechlessly, "You were knocked unconscious yesterday. If I hadn't happened to run into you and rescued you, you don't know what would have happened to you now. I'm your savior, and this is how you treat me." Su Xinran was stunned for a moment. Only then did she remember that she was called to the office by Vice President Wang Wei yesterday and then lost consciousness. It seems that Chen Fan did save himself. But she still couldn't accept sleeping in the same bed with a strange man. She is a virgin and has never even touched a man's hand in her life. Su Xinran said angrily, "Then why would I sleep in the same bed with you? Do you think you can take advantage of me just because you saved me? Who took advantage of you?" Chen Fan said angrily, "I brought you here because I saw you fainted and couldn't wake you up no matter how hard I tried. Besides, I put you on the sofa before, so who knows how you climbed onto the bed. If I took advantage of you, would you not feel anything at all?" Su Xinran then noticed that there was nothing wrong with her body, and her clothes were intact. She didn't look like she was being taken advantage of. Could it be that what Chen Fan said was true? Then how did she get on the bed? Oh, right. I seem to have a habit of sleepwalking. Thinking of this, Su Xinran's pretty face flushed. It turned out that she had misunderstood Chen Fan. It was really miserable that Chen Fan was framed even though he had helped so much. She immediately apologized. Chen Fan, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you, I must have been sleepwalking last night. Chen Fan was too lazy to care. Forget it, it's nothing. Su Xinran added, Chen Fan, thank you for saving me. How about this, I'll treat you to dinner tonight. It's getting late now and I have to go to work. After saying that, Su Xinran hurried to leave. It was getting late and she didn't want to be late. Before leaving, Chen Fan called her back awkwardly, well, your button fell off, you'd better fasten it. Su Xinran blushed immediately and quickly hid in the bathroom, only to find that her underwear was not buttoned. But this dress was worn at the bottom, how did Chen Fan see it? And if he could see the buttons, then he could also see other places. Su Xinran's face flushed, and she glared at Chen Fan fiercely before leaving. She felt uneasy on their way to their hospital. It can be basically confirmed that what happened yesterday was done by the hospital's vice president Wang Wei. But she had no evidence, and even if she did, she couldn't bring down the powerful vice president. She really didn't know how to deal with all this. Resign. But she can't live without this job now. After all, the Su family is no longer the same Su family as before. Just when Su Xinran was worried, several messages suddenly popped up on her phone. The amount of information is still increasing rapidly. The internal group of the hospital, which usually had few people chatting, seemed to be booming at this moment, with everyone involved in heated discussions. The topic of discussion happened to be the murder that occurred in Jinxiu Jiangnan last night. All 5 men died, and the murderer left no trace. More importantly, the hospital's vice president Wang Wei was also among the 5. A large number of syringes and prohibited items were also found at the scene. Su Xinran's body trembled. No matter how stupid she was, she could guess that this matter was related to Chen Fan. It turned out that what Chen Fan did was not as simple as he said. He actually committed such a shocking crime for her. Besides being shocked, she was also deeply grateful. If Chen Fan hadn't helped, one could imagine how bad her situation would have been. In particular, the various instruments and cameras scattered at the scene all indicate what is going to happen. The most important thing is that Wang Wei, the biggest threat to her, was solved, which made Su Xinran excited to tears. She swore to keep this matter to herself, otherwise Chen Fan would be finished if it got out. Huahai's police system is in a mess. Such a shocking murder case has not occurred for several years. But the police investigated for a long time but still had no clue. No traces of the attacker were found in the corridor or the elevator, and the broken glass on the floor of the room further indicated that the attacker broke in through the window. But the crime scene was on the 18th floor, which is dozens of meters high and surrounded by smooth tiles. Could the perpetrator have flown? But even if there is no clue, we have to bite the bullet and continue the investigation. After all, there is a heavyweight figure among the victims, this time Hou Zhentao, the young master of Tianchen Group. Tianchen Group is exerting full pressure. This case must be solved. The chairman of Tianchen Group was present in person. Although Hou Zhentao was not his only son, he was the most favored one. Now he died in such an unclear manner. How could he swallow this? Zhentao, don't worry, I will cut the murderer into pieces and tell your spirit in heaven. Looking at his son's body, Hu Qianqing's eyes turned bloodshot, and the air around him seemed to have dropped by more than 10 degrees, making people feel cold all over. Several followers lowered their heads quickly, not daring to breathe. Chapter 5 Zhuxian. The next morning, Chen Fan arrived at the villa area of Hongyang Villa. Although he had expected that Zhu Zhuliang had an unusual identity, he was still surprised by the luxurious villa covering thousands of square meters in front of him. This is the most central location in the entire Huahai, where every inch of land is worth a lot of money. How rich must one be to own a villa like this? Chen Fan is here today to teach acupuncture. Upon learning that Chen Fan had arrived, Zhu Zhuliang was extremely excited and strongly requested to go to the door to greet him. Chen Fan had no choice but to wait. At this moment, a red BMW stopped in front of him, and a beautiful woman in a long skirt got out of the BMW. She was very beautiful and had an extremely hot body, especially the 2 mountains, which were so huge that people couldn't help but worry whether her clothes would be burst. Chen Fan couldn't help but take a few more glances. Who would have thought that the girl had a very bad temper? She cursed him as a hooligan and then kicked him hard. Chen Fan was speechless. He just made a small mistake that every boy would make. Was it that serious? The girl was obviously well trained, and her kick was fast and powerful, but in Chen Fan's eyes it was nothing and he dodged it easily. Of course, he didn't want to argue with the little girl, so he didn't fight back, but just avoided her. Who would have thought that the girl would not give in, and in the blink of an eye the two of them, one chasing the other, ran more than 10 meters away. Beautiful lady, you have practiced kung fu incorrectly and have injured your spine. You'd better get treatment, otherwise you will be paralyzed before you are 40. While dodging, Chen Fan also gave a warning. He could tell at a glance that the girl had injured her spine from practicing martial arts. To reach a high level in traditional martial arts, one must combine internal strength with practice. Practicing only external strength can lead to rapid progress, but it will hurt others and yourself. It can be seen from the looks of it that the girl has had martial arts training for more than 10 years, otherwise she wouldn't be injured like this. Zhu Xian was shocked and angry. She had learned kung fu from a famous master, but now she couldn't even defeat a small hooligan. Hearing this, Zhu Xian came up with an idea and immediately stopped. She looked frightened and subconsciously approached Chen Fan. Are you serious? You're not lying to me. Certainly. Seeing that she was not going to attack him anymore, Chen Fan stopped dodging. But when he was about to speak, Zhu Xian kicked him hard, aiming at his crotch. Chen Fan's face turned dark. It seemed that this girl didn't listen to him at all. She did all this just for a better sneak attack. And can you kick that place? Are you responsible if it's broken? When Zhu Xian was about to succeed, a big hand suddenly appeared and grabbed her ankle like an iron clamp. Zhu Xian's face changed drastically. This cuckold kick was her unique skill. It was always effective. Even a brick could be kicked into pieces with one kick, but now it was blocked. The next second, her pretty face flushed, because Zhu Xian realized that in this position, Chen Fan could just see her most private part. Let me go. She yelled loudly, but Chen Fan had no intention of letting go. What a joke. What if I let you go and you continue to attack me? Xiang? What are you doing? At this time Zhu Zhuyang arrived and happened to see this scene. He was completely stunned. Grandfather. Zhu Xian had never felt so embarrassed in her life. Her face turned red with shame and anger. Now it was Chen Fan's turn to be speechless. What the hell? This girl was Zhu Zhuyang's granddaughter? The grandfather and grandson had such bad tempers, didn't they? After Chen Fan let go, Zhu Xian immediately rushed to Zhu Zhuyang and acted like a spoiled child. Grandpa is not what you think. It was this bastard who molested me that made me do that to him. You must not let him go. Nonsense. How could my master be a gangster? Zhu Zhuyang immediately scolded her with a stern face. He knew very well his granddaughter's temper. In this matter, Zhu Xian must have been at fault first. He also explained to Chen Fan, Master. This is my granddaughter Zhu Xian, please don't bother with her. It's okay, it's just a little misunderstanding. Ignoring Zhu Xian's murderous look, Chen Fan handed over a small notebook after he finished speaking. This was the steps of the Tai Shenshen that he had compiled based on his memory. It was written in great detail and anyone could understand it. After reading it, Zhu Zhuyang said excitedly, Master, I really don't know how to thank you. This is a small token of my appreciation. Please don't refuse it. He handed over a contract. I have transferred 10% of the shares of Hou Zhentao to your name. Please feel free to tell me if you need my help in the future. Zhu Xian on the side was so shocked that her jaw dropped. You have to know that Hou Zhentao has opened more than 100 branches in the provincial capital, with a total market value of more than 10 billion yuan. This is equivalent to giving Chen Fan 100 million yuan with just a wave of the hand. What right does a scoundrel have to do this? By the way, Master, I saw that you came here by taxi. Have you not bought a car yet? Well, you can drive away this Ferrari of mine. It was given to me by someone else, and I haven't had the chance to drive it yet. Zhu Zhuyang said again. Zhu Xian was so angry that she was about to explode. Chen Fan wanted to refuse, but seeing Zhu Zhuyang was so enthusiastic he had to agree. Although I don't know how much 10% of the shares of Lamar Temple are worth, the brand new silver grey Ferrari parked at the entrance of the community is not cheap. It must be at least several million, right? I never thought a set of needlework would be so valuable. Zhu Zhuyang also wanted to invite Chen Fan to have lunch together, but was rejected by Chen Fan. What a joke. I just gave away money and a car and that's it. If I stay for dinner, won't I be eaten alive by Zhu Xian? Grandpa. Why are you so nice to such a scoundrel? Giving him money, cars, and even asking him to become your apprentice. He must have tricked you, right? I'm going to catch him right now. After Chen Fan left, Zhu Xian couldn't help it anymore. Zhu Zhuyang said helplessly, Xian, Chen Fan is not a gangster, he is a truly capable person. What does this little money mean? As long as you can build a good relationship with him, he will be willing to give you 10 times more than this. You don't know his value at all. I don't believe it, Grandpa, you must have been deceived. This acupuncture technique is fake to me. How can he know any medical skills at such a young age? You? Well, okay, then Grandpa will prove it to you. After Zhu Zhuyang finished speaking, he took his granddaughter home. He rolled up his trouser legs and began to give acupuncture according to the steps in the small notebook. Half an hour later, the acupuncture was completed and Zhu Zhuyang stood up. He began to walk, then his steps became faster and faster, and finally he was running, with great strides. Zhu Xian's expression changed from disdain at the beginning to extremely solemn and shocked. Because she knew that Grandpa Zhu Zhuyang's legs were frozen in his early years. Although he had been treated for so many years, he could only walk normally at best. If he walked a little faster, he would feel unbearable pain. But now. This is incredible. Chapter 6. Does he have a car? Zhu Zhuyang returned to his granddaughter and said meaningfully, do you understand now? This set of acupuncture has cured my stubborn illness of more than 20 years. This set of acupuncture itself is a priceless treasure. Moreover, Chen Fan has many more of this kind of acupuncture. He is so young but has such medical skills. His background must be extraordinary. Even though he doesn't have much money now, money is just a number to a person like him. Although Grandpa is regarded as a national player by the people of Huahai, he is actually not qualified at all. Grandpa is at best just born early and lucky, and he cured a few big shots in Kyoto. In the eyes of the real national players, what is Grandpa? Chen Fan is a true national player. The value of such a person cannot be measured by money. We are so lucky to have met him when he was penniless. As long as we have a good relationship with this kind of person, our entire family will benefit. Do you understand now? Zhu Xian was shocked and said, is he really that powerful? Then what he just said about my spinal injury will make me paralyzed before I'm 40 is also true. Did Chen Fan really say that? Zhu Zhuyang said seriously, then you'd better go check it out quickly. Is it necessary to mobilize so many troops? I don't believe him. Although Zhu Xian said this, her tone was not as firm as before. At this time, Zhu Xian received a phone call. She seemed to have heard something and her face became extremely ugly. Zhu Zhuyang asked, something happened in the bureau. My granddaughter Zhu Xian is a police officer. If she is so unhappy, there must be something wrong in the police station. Zhu Xian nodded, yes. Last night, there was a murder in Jinqiu Jiangnan. All 5 people who rented a private room died. One of them was the son of Hou Zhentao, the chairman of Tianchen Group. The police have been investigating for a long time and found no trace of the murderer. Hou Zhentao is getting angry. He even said that if we can't solve the problem, he will solve it in his own way. What are you talking about? Is there still law? This Hou Zhentao has a background in organized crime. If he starts making trouble, who knows what will happen? A murder case is already a headache. Zhu Zhuyang was shocked. It was Chen Fan who asked him about Hou Zhentao's location yesterday, and the murder happened that night. This was definitely not a coincidence. It was most likely related to Chen Fan. He subconsciously wanted to remind Chen Fan to be careful, but then he remembered that Chen Fan was able to kill 5 people in a row without leaving any trace under such tight control. With such strength, the one who should be careful should be Hou Zhentao. How many secrets does this guy have? Huahai, Hu family. Hou Zhentao called all his confidants and said, I'll give you 3 days to arrest all those who had grudges against Zhentao during his lifetime. Investigate them one by one. No matter who they are, no matter how big their background is, if they dare to touch my son, Hou Zhentao, I will make sure they die without a burial place. Hou Zhentao does things without any taboos. He will immediately arrest people if he has any suspicion. He is absolutely lawless. He had the confidence to do this. Given Hou Zhentao status, there were not many people in the entire Huahai who could suppress him. Kidnapping and assassination are serious crimes in the eyes of ordinary people, but in his eyes they are nothing. At the same time, at the entrance of Huahai Hospital, Su Xinran, wearing a cool suspender outfit, was waiting for Chen Fan's arrival. The two made an appointment to have dinner together. But after waiting for a while, Chen Fan didn't come, but someone she didn't want to see came. A black Land Rover came speeding over and stopped suddenly in front of Su Xinran. The car window opened to reveal a face that was hollowed out by alcohol and sex. "Xinran, you got off work so early. Let's go and have a quick meal together." When Su Xinran saw him, her face turned unhappy. This man is called Yu Wenhong. His family is in the real estate industry and has some business overlap with Su Xinran's family. After they met a few months ago, he has been pestering Su Xinran like a dog's skin plaster and cannot be driven away. "Sorry, I have a date tonight." Su Xinran subconsciously refused. Yu Wenhong's face changed. "A date? A man or a woman? Does this have anything to do with you?" "Of course. For a girl, forget it. But for a boy, it would be best if his family is very wealthy." "Xinran, you should know your family's situation better than I do. There are only a few people in Huahai who can save your family, and I am one of them. So I advise you to think twice before you act, get to know more rich people like me, and don't waste your time on those poor people." Yu Wenhong became more and more proud as he spoke. "Did you see my car? It's a new Land Rover, which I paid in full for 1.35 million. Those poor guys may not be able to earn that much money in their entire lives." "Yu Wenhong." Su Xinran was so angry that she was shaking. "It's my freedom to make friends with whomever I want. It's not your turn to come and tell me what to do. No matter how rich you are, I don't care. We don't need your help with the problems our family is facing now. Please don't bother me anymore." Su Xinran was really angry this time. Her family was in the construction business. They received a big order some time ago and thought they could make a lot of money. However, the developer ran away with the money before the project was half completed, leaving the Su family heavily in debt. It was because of this that Yu Wenhong tried to take advantage of her openly or secretly. "Har har, Xinran, I'm doing this for your own good. Why are you so angry? Judging from your appearance, the person you're having dinner with tonight must be very poor, right? Let me guess, how much does he make a month, 4,000 or 5,000? I'm afraid that all the savings he has can't even afford to buy a single part of my car, right?" Yu Wenhong was not ashamed at all. As soon as he finished speaking, a brand new silver grey Ferrari stopped beside him. The window opened to reveal Chen Fan's heroic face. "Xinran, get in the car." Yu Wenhong's face suddenly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. He had just been arrogantly mocking Su Xinran's friends for being so poor, but the moment he saw them driving a Ferrari, this was too embarrassing. Especially the scene where Ferrari attracted so many people's attention after his appearance made him feel ashamed and angry. After all, a Land Rover is only over 1 million at most, while this new model of Ferrari costs at least 3 or 4 million. The two are simply not on the same level. Although Su Xinran was surprised, she didn't ask anything and just got into the car. Yu Wenhong immediately quit. He stepped forward and said coldly, "Brother, my name is Yu Wenhong, my father is the chairman of Centerline Property, I like this girl, please give me some face." Chapter 7. Isn't it good to be alive? I've never heard of Centerline Property. Chen Fan drove away without thinking. Yu Wenhong's face turned even darker. He didn't expect that the background he was so proud of was nothing in Chen Fan's eyes. However, he did not dare to continue the argument. The man must have a remarkable background to be able to drive such a good car, and he might not end up well if he continued the fight. In fact, Yu Wenhong really misunderstood. Chen Fan was just a loser. How could he know anything about Centerline Property? He had only heard of a few of the many companies in Huahai. Many people in the crowd cast gloating glances at Yu Wenhong. Yu Wenhong didn't want to lose face, so he blushed and said, "Isn't it just a Ferrari? Who can't afford it? I can still afford 3 or 4 million. What's the big deal? 3 or 4 million. Take 3 or 4 million to the 4S store and see if they can sell it to you." Someone in the crowd who knows cars immediately retorted, "This is the Ferrari 135th anniversary model. It's limited to 150 units worldwide and costs more than 12 million. And you can't buy it even if you have money. You want to buy it for 3 or 4 million. Are you dreaming? Zhu Zhuang's identity is extraordinary, so the things that can be given to him are naturally not ordinary. Look at him, he drives a car worth tens of millions so low-key, unlike some people who don't know who they are just driving a Land Rover. That's right, you think you are superior to others just because you drive a car worth 1 million yuan. It's ridiculous. Some people have been unhappy with Yuan Hong for a long time, and now is the perfect time to give him a beating. They looked so sarcastic that they were almost pointing at Yuan Hong's nose and scolding him. Yuan Hong was also frightened. A car worth more than 10 million yuan is not something that ordinary people can afford. When did such a person appear in Huahai? He didn't have time to refute and quickly got into the car and left in shame. Chen Fan, you are really good at hiding yourself. You are obviously a rich second generation, but you are so low-key. Su Xinran looked at Chen Fan driving, as if she was meeting him for the first time. Actually, I'm very poor. Chen Fan said seriously. Su Xinran rolled her eyes. If driving a Ferrari is considered poor, then how can others survive? At this time, Su Xinran received a message from her mother Wu Mai asking her to go home immediately, as if something had happened at home. Su Xinran immediately apologized with a guilty look on her face. After all, she had promised to treat Chen Fan to a meal. Chen Fan didn't care. He could eat at any time. Family matters were more important. This time period happened to be the rush hour after get off work, and it was difficult to get a taxi, so he simply sent Su Xinran home. Su Xinran also lives in a detached villa. Although it is not as good as Zhu Zhuang's Hongyang villa, it cannot be bought without 5 or 6 million. As soon as Su Xinran got off the car, she hurried home. Wu Mai's message was very anxious, and she didn't know what had happened. The moment she opened the door, she was stunned. The room was actually full of people. In addition to Wu Mai, there were a dozen more men with tattoos and fierce looks. They smoked and ate a lot, making the villa full of smoke. Mother Wu Mai was surrounded by several people and couldn't move. Seeing Su Xinran coming, she was extremely anxious. Xinran, who asked you to come here? You have nothing to do here. Go. Go quickly. Su Xinran immediately understood that those messages must have been sent by the robbers in the name of her mother, with the purpose of attracting her over. No wonder she always felt that the tone of those messages was a little strange, unlike her mother's usual style. The gangsters' eyes lit up. They had heard that Wu Mai had a beautiful daughter, and today they saw that she was indeed extraordinary. The Su family borrowed high-interest loans for the previous project, and now that they can't pay back the money, they naturally have to make up for the losses. Attracting Su Xinran was also part of the plan. After all, beautiful women are very valuable. Of course, before that, they must enjoy themselves. A few hooligans with more lustful intentions had already come over and said with a lewd smile, "Little sister, now that you are here, don't leave. That's right, follow me, and I will make you feel very comfortable." Su Xinran took a deep breath and immediately said, "Chen Fan, thank you for sending me home. These uncles are joking with me. They are my mother's friends and they won't hurt me. You go first, we have something important to discuss." She knew she couldn't hide today. But Chen Fan is innocent. This matter should not affect Chen Fan. But he didn't expect that as soon as he finished speaking, several thugs surrounded Chen Fan and said, "Now that you're here, don't even think about leaving. Boy, hand over your phone, put your hands on your head, and squat down. Be honest, we are Brother Long's people." A few thugs were threatening each other. Their brother Long they were talking about was named Zhu Long. He had hundreds of men under him and was a tyrant in the south of the city. A bold man even picked up a machete and slapped Chen Fan's face with the back of the machete. "I told you to hand over your phone. Are you deaf? Can't hear me?" If an ordinary person encountered this situation, his legs would definitely go limp with fear. But Chen Fan just sighed helplessly. He really couldn't understand why some people always like to commit suicide. Isn't it good to be alive? Chapter 8 Martial Arts Master. Click. It happened in the blink of an eye. As soon as the bald man finished speaking, his wrist was twisted into a knot. He screamed in pain and the knife in his hand fell to the ground with a clang. The two thugs behind him immediately rushed forward when they saw this, but Chen Fan kicked them away without even a glance. The two men smashed the wall like sandbags, causing the wall to dent and several steel bars to be exposed. Everyone was stunned by the shock. You looked at me and I looked at you, but no one dared to move forward. What a bunch of rubbish. If you can't even get a little kid who hasn't even grown all his hair, what use do I have for you? At this time, a sturdy man stood up in the corner. He was 1.9 meters tall, with broad shoulders and a thick waist, and muscles all over his body. The sturdy man was shirtless, and there was a scar on his face that spanned the entire face, like a centipede, which looked hideous and terrifying. The sturdy man moved his arms and immediately a cracking sound came out. Brother Yang. Everyone couldn't help but show fear on their faces. The sturdy man was called Liu Yang, and he was the best fighter under the boss Zhu Long. He once turned defeat into victory under the siege of more than 50 people, broke 10 layers of blue bricks with one punch, and paralyzed a person with one slap. In the eyes of many people, he was synonymous with terror. Boy, you have some skills, but your mediocre skills are only good enough to deal with ordinary people, but not in front of me. Liu Yang twisted his neck and said in a muffled voice, you can't even last 10 seconds in front of me. Today I will let you see what a true master is. Are you strong? Chen Fan's eyes were full of fighting spirit. It was the first time he encountered a master like Liu Yang after obtaining the inheritance of the medical immortal. He wanted to see what level he was among the real masters. Har har, at least in Huahai, my strength can be ranked in the top 10. Liu Yang naturally has the confidence to say this. Martial arts are divided into external strength and internal strength. When you train your muscles, bones and skin externally, and when your external skills are trained to the extreme, something called internal force will be generated in your body. This state is called internal strength, and warriors with internal strength are rare in the entire Huahai. Although Liu Yang has not reached the level of internal strength, he has also achieved great success in external strength. His muscles, bones and skin have been trained to the extreme. Dozens of people are no match for him. With his strength, he can indeed rank among the best in Huahai. After saying that, Liu Yang rushed over. His fists were fast and powerful, and one of them could even create a piercing sonic boom, which was truly terrifying in the eyes of ordinary people. But in Chen Fan's opinion, it was not much faster than an ant. However, he also wanted to find out the level of this so-called master, so he didn't fight back, but just dodged. Liu Yang became more and more anxious as he hit the target, because a minute had passed and he hadn't even touched a single hair. He just said that the other party couldn't even last 10 seconds. Isn't this a slap in his face? Come on, Brother Yang. Brother Yang is invincible. Kill him, Brother Yang. Everyone was shouting loudly. No one thought that Liu Yang would lose, they just thought that Chen Fan was too slippery and couldn't hit him. Everyone was dumbfounded before he could finish his words. Because at this time Chen Fan no longer retreated, and knocked Liu Yang out with a punch. Too weak. Chen Fan was extremely disappointed. He had thought that the so-called masters would be very strong, but it turned out that they were only several times stronger than ordinary people. The whole place was in dead silence. No one expected that the great Liu Yang would lose to a plain-looking young man. After Liu Yang failed, he did not retaliate crazily, but knelt down directly, and said in fear and trepidation, "It is my fault that I did not recognize the great man and offended the master. I hope the master will spare my life." Everyone was stunned, but Liu Yang knew very well that he had already mastered external skills. The only one who could defeat him easily was an expert in internal strength and a martial arts master. Strong men of this level are rare and he can't afford to offend them at all. Chen Fan, didn't you just say that I couldn't even last 10 seconds in front of you? I dare not. Liu Yang broke out in a cold sweat. I really don't know the master's identity, otherwise I wouldn't dare to say such a thing even if I had 10 times the courage. Chen Fan then groaned, "Get up." Yes. Hurry up and apologize to the master. At Liu Yang's command, the gangster who had been so arrogant just now immediately apologized submissively. Liu Yang flattered, "From your accent, master, you seem to be a local of Huahai. I never thought that Huahai would have a young talent like you. Our boss Zhu Long likes to make friends with masters. If he knew what happened today, he would definitely want to meet you, master. I wonder when you would be free." "Tomorrow." Chen Fan said, "It's too late today." "Yes, I will definitely visit you tomorrow." Liu Yang was overjoyed, and after learning Chen Fan's address, he immediately took his people away. As for the loan, it naturally fell through. Compared to making friends with a martial arts master, a loan of just millions was nothing. Little brother, thank you so much. Wu Mai came up excitedly. I really don't know how to repay your kindness. Little brother? Isn't this confusing the generations? Su Xinran quickly said, Mom, this is my classmate Chen Fan. Wu Mai's eyes suddenly changed. Su Xinran had very high standards. When had he ever brought any of his classmates home? Look at Chen Fan again. Although he looks ordinary, he has an extraordinary bearing. In addition, he just took care of a group of hooligans with just 3 punches and 2 kicks. Not bad, indeed. Mom. Su Xinran's face turned red. It was getting late, and considering it would be inconvenient for Chen Fan to go back, Wu Mai warmly invited him to stay here. She also cooked a few side dishes herself, frequently served food to him during the meal, and asked about Chen Fan's family situation in a roundabout way, which made Su Xinran blush. At night, as soon as Chen Fan lay down, he heard a cry of pain. Chapter 9, Dating with the School Beauty. The sound came from the bathroom next door. He suddenly woke up and rushed over. The moment he opened the bathroom door, hot steam hit him in the face. Looking at the scene in front of him, Chen Fan was stunned. In the bathroom, it was Su Xinran who was taking a shower. She was naked, revealing her milky white skin, her curvy figure, and she was extremely hot. The visual impact of this scene was so strong that Chen Fan couldn't take his eyes away for a moment. Su Xinran had obviously slipped and was squatting on the ground with a look of pain on her face. Chen Fan was embarrassed and speechless. Why didn't he lock the door when taking a shower? He thought something had happened. Little did he know that Su Xinran grew up with her mother, and there were no opposite sex in the house, so of course there was no need to close the door. Su Xinran was so ashamed and angry that she screamed and immediately wrapped the key parts with a bath towel. Xinran, what's wrong? Came Wu Mai's voice. Mom, I'm fine. Su Xinran said, I fainted accidentally. Chen Fan quickly explained, Xinran, I'm sorry, I thought something happened to you, that's why. Su Xinran lowered her voice and said, even if something happened, you can't just rush in. This is the bathroom, and men and women are not allowed to touch each other. I'm sorry, I didn't think it through. Chen Fan quickly apologized. Although it was a misunderstanding, he also knew how serious the offense was to the girl. At this time, Su Xinran pretended to stand up, but happened to step on a painful spot. She gasped and her face turned pale. Only then did Chen Fan notice that Su Xinran's left ankle was swollen, obviously sprained. He immediately stepped forward and said, You are injured like this, how about I give you a massage? Su Xinran nodded with a red face. The two returned to the room. Chen Fan put Su Xinran on the bed, then half knelt down and began to rub her little feet. Su Xinran's feet are slender and white, and her 5 toes are like pearls and jade embryos, so cute. Chen Fan couldn't help but feel a little distracted. I thought it would be very painful when it was pinched, but Su Xinran didn't expect that Chen Fan's technique was so exquisite. It was only a slight pain, followed by a tingling and numb feeling, which was simply amazing. In less than 10 minutes, the swelling subsided at a speed visible to the naked eye. Su Xinran was lying on the bed, and couldn't help but think of the scene in the bathroom just now, and her little face suddenly turned red. Thinking back carefully, Su Xinran was surprised to find that even though her body was seen naked, she did not feel disgusted towards Chen Fan, but only endless shyness. If it were someone else, even if the other party had no ill intentions and everything was just a coincidence, Su Xinran would never forgive him and might even hold a grudge against him for the rest of his life. But he didn't have this mentality when facing Chen Fan. Could it be that I have fallen in love with Chen Fan? Otherwise, how could she have forgiven him so generously and even handed over her little feet to him for him to do with? You know, the importance of feet in many girls is no less than that of several sensitive parts. Su Xinran was so embarrassed. She thought back to the things that happened between her and Chen Fan. Although they had only met for a short time, she still remembered every single thing. In the hospital, Chen Fanning refused to give in. In splendid Jiangnan, Chen Fan stepped forward. It was Chen Fan who came to the rescue today and scared away those evil guys. There have been many boys pursuing her since she was a child, but those playboys who are all show and no substance are not even worthy of carrying Chen Fan's shoes. It would be a pity to miss such a man. Thinking of this, Su Xinran mustered up the courage to ask, Chen Fan, what do you think of me? Chen Fan said without hesitation, very good, what's wrong? Then if you don't mind, I'll be your girlfriend. When Su Xinran heard the last sentence, her pretty face flushed and her voice was as soft as the chirping of insects. Chen Fan was stunned. What did you say? Su Xinran was unwilling to admit, no, I didn't say anything, you heard it wrong. Really? I thought you wanted to be my girlfriend. If you don't mean that, then forget it. Chen Fan said with a wicked smile. How can we let it go? Su Xinran was anxious, but she immediately realized that this was a trap and was immediately ashamed. You are bad. You only know how to bully me. Chen Fan, so what did you just say? Su Xinran, you. I said I want to be your girlfriend. If you don't agree, forget it. Anyway, there are so many people chasing me, you are not a big deal, Su Xinran's mouth was blocked before she could finish her words. The way she was stubborn was so adorable that Chen Fan couldn't help but kiss her forcefully. Su Xinran struggled a few times at first, but soon stopped resisting. The strong scent of male hormones from Chen Fan made her feel confused and excited. Su Xinran could only stick out her clumsy little tongue and try her best to cooperate, but she had too little experience and strength, and was quickly defeated by Chen Fan. Holding this extremely hot body in his arms, Chen Fan's desire was rising. He couldn't help but increase his movements, but was stopped by Su Xinran. Chen Fan, no. Su Xinran looked at him pitifully, her little face so red that it seemed like blood was about to drip out. Chen Fan also realized that he had gone too far. After all, Su Xinran was still an ignorant girl who had never experienced anything in life. But he didn't intend to let it go so easily. How could a boyfriend or girlfriend call each other by their first names? Chen Fan pretended to be angry. What did you call me just now? Old husband. Su Xinran was so shy that she didn't even have the face to see anyone. Seeing the goddess in the eyes of so many boys in school calling her so intimately, Chen Fan felt so satisfied. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Su Xinran was worried that the noise would be too loud and might be heard by Wu Mai, so she quickly sent Chen Fan back. The two chatted on the phone until late at night before going to bed. On the phone, Su Xinran changed from her usual cold goddess image and became completely obedient and intimate with Chen Fan. Several times, Chen Fan almost couldn't help but rush in and kill the little girl on the spot. Neither of them slept well that night, it was because they were too excited. The next morning, Su Xinran confessed to Wu Mai that they were together. Although Wu Mai was surprised, she quickly accepted it. After all, her daughter had graduated from college, and it was normal for her to fall in love. Moreover, she already had a good impression of Chen Fan, and after a detailed conversation, she liked him even more. First of all, Chen Fan came here in a Ferrari, so his family background must be good. However, such a rich man did not speak with any arrogance, but was very humble instead. Secondly, she had seen Chen Fan's strength yesterday. To have such skills showed that he had put a lot of effort into his physical health. Such people are often very self-disciplined and perseverant. A man who is extremely wealthy but humble and strict with himself is hard to find even with a lantern. Wu Mai is a typical mother-in-law who likes her son-in-law more and more. As they chat, she even starts talking about them getting married and having children in the future. Su Xinran was feeling so embarrassed. Why was it necessary to do it so quickly? When Wu Mai learned that Chen Fan was still renting a house, she immediately asked Chen Fan to move in with her. After all, rent is very expensive now, and every penny saved counts. Even if you have money, you can't spend it recklessly. Wu Mai is very busy with her business and usually lives in the company, so she won't come to disturb their world of two. Of course, Chen Fan had no reason to refuse. It was not good for the two of them to be too far apart since they had just gotten together. After Wu Mai left, Chen Fan couldn't help but hug Su Xinran and kiss her for a long time. But no matter how hard he tried, Su Xinran refused to go any further. Chen Fan didn't care. They would live under the same roof from now on, so why would he worry about not having meat to eat? After sending Su Xinran to work, he returned to the rental house to pack up his things and move in. But as soon as he opened the door, a sharp dagger was pressed against his neck. Chapter 10 directly to the door. It was a burly man who had entered the room at some point and had been hiding behind the door. He took advantage of the moment Chen Fan opened the door to attack. The man said, "Boy, don't move. If you dare to move, I will send you to see the king of hell." "Har har, you are Chen Fan, right? You didn't come back all night and made me wait for so long." Just listen to me and I can guarantee your safety. Otherwise, if I stab you with this knife, you will lose your life. A normal person would be horrified if a knife was pointed at their neck, but Chen Fan's expression did not change at all. Who sent you? The man said disdainfully. Har har, kid, do you think you are qualified to ask this? I can only tell you that the person who sent me here is not someone you can afford to offend. Be honest. The end of resistance is only death. As soon as he finished speaking, the man felt a sharp pain in his wrist, and the dagger had been taken away by Chen Fan. Then, puff, puff, ar. With a flash of the knife, the tendons of the man's hands and feet were immediately cut, and he squatted on the ground screaming. I'll ask you one last time, who sent you here? Chen Fan's cold voice, like the god of death, made the man's face change drastically. He was sweating profusely and felt extremely terrified. The man had a hunch, if he didn't tell Chen Fan, he would definitely kill him. He quickly said, General Hou Zhentao sent me here. Hou Zhentao's son, Hou Zhentao, was killed some time ago. He has been trying to capture those who had a grudge against his son, hoping to find clues from them. That's right, the man was sent by Hou Zhentao. He found Chen Fan's whereabouts last night, but Chen Fan did not come back all night, so the man had no choice but to wait. As expected, Chen Fan came back early in the morning, but he didn't expect that what he saw this time was not a rabbit, but an ancient Tyrannosaurus Rex. The man was cursing in his heart. Didn't he say that the target this time was a loser? How the hell does this guy look like a loser? Huh? Chen Fan, Hou Zhentao? You should know where he is, right? Take me to find him. Yes, yes, yes. The man didn't dare to disobey, and the two of them quickly got into the car. Chen Fan drove and he navigated beside him. Chen Fan's idea is very simple. Hou Zhentao deserves to die, and I have no guilt in killing him. If anyone wants to avenge him, then keep killing them. More than 10 minutes later, in a villa in Huahai, Hou Zhentao looked at the information in front of him with an extremely ugly expression. These were the interrogation results he obtained through severe torture. More than a dozen people were arrested in one go yesterday. But none of them is the murderer. Anger was burning in his heart. Just then, a young man of plain appearance walked in from outside the door. It's Chen Fan. Hou Zhentao was stunned, and said in a dignified manner, Who are you? Who let you in? Someone come here. Chen Fan, if you want to call the 6 bodyguards guarding the door, save your energy. I've already knocked them out. As for who I am, har har, haven't you been looking for me? Now that I'm in front of you, you can't recognize me. Hou Zhentao was no fool, and understood immediately. It seems that you are also one of my enemies. The fact that you were able to find this place means that the people I sent out have been killed by you. What a pity. If you had just cooperated, I would have spared your life, but you insisted on resisting. You will only end up dead. My Hou family is not one that anyone can do as they please. Chen Fan laughed and said, Oh. Even if I cooperate well, you can't let me go, because I was the one who killed your son. What did you say? Chen Fan, 5 people including your son in Jinqiu Jiangnan were killed by me because of their broken hearts. As a father, it is understandable that you are investigating this matter, but do you know what your son did? He disregards the laws of the country, takes human life lightly, and bullies men and women. I killed your son because he deserved to die. He. Hou Zhentao sneered, Who is my son? What's the big deal about stepping on a few ants? Those women should be proud of being favored by my son. Only small people like you would imagine that everyone is equal. Wake up. My Hou family is powerful and superior to others. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Chen Fan punched down, and Hou Zhentao's face was distorted and blood gushed out. Ar. Hou Zhentao screamed. It was a scream and a roar. He has been active in China for decades. When has he ever suffered such a big loss? Hou Zhentao swung a stool and smashed it at Chen Fan, who dodged it easily and kicked Hou Zhentao away again. Since you like bullying others so much, I will let you know what it feels like to be bullied. After saying that, Chen Fan threw another punch. Hou Zhentao was like a frightened shrimp, his whole body hunched over and vomiting blood. Chen Fan, aren't you high and mighty, and powerful? How come I beat you up like this? Is this what you call being superior? Boy. I want you to die without a complete body. Hou Zhentao roared, When you came, I had already sent out a distress signal. I am a close friend of the gangster Pao Yi. He will be here soon. Very soon. You are dead. As if in response to his words. Da. The next second, there were sudden loud footsteps outside the door. It's people, a vast number of people. There were at least 100 burly men hurrying over. The leader was a ferocious-looking man with a lame leg. His name is Wang Pao, nicknamed Pao Yi. He is a well-known gangster boss with hundreds of men under his command. Those who followed him today are all real elites. Each of these is a ruthless character who has seen blood, and the leaders have several lives on their hands. Seeing Wang Pao coming, Hou Zhentao said excitedly, "Master Pao, kill him. Kill him." He had never been so embarrassed in his life. Now I just want to kill Chen Fan to vent my anger. Chen Fan frowned slightly. Although he doesn't take these people seriously. But if there are too many casualties, it will be troublesome. Just when he was hesitating whether to take action, his cell phone rang. Chapter 11 Zhu Long's Request. It was Liu Yang, the gang leader I met yesterday. "Master Chen, are you not at home? Boss Zhu and I came here but couldn't find you." Chen Fan then remembered that Liu Yang had said yesterday that he would visit him the next day and asked for his address. But what happened today was too sudden and plans could not keep up with the changes. "Chen Fan, sorry, I have something to do outside now. I will be back later." "Liu Yang, Master Chen, are you in any trouble? I heard some noise over there, and it didn't seem right. If you need anything, please feel free to ask." My words still have some effect in Huahai. It's a bit troublesome. Chen Fan thought for a moment and told the truth. "I met a man named Wang Pao here." "Who the hell is Wang Pao? How dare he embarrass Master Chen? Tell him to wait. I'll be there soon." After that, the call was hung up. "Why, boy, are you going to get help? I advise you to ask him to go back. Whoever comes to help you today will die," Hou Zhentao said with disdain. He vaguely heard words like, "let him wait," coming from the phone, and immediately thought that it was Chen Fan calling for help. He had investigated Chen Fan's information. He was just a loser with no background. What kind of connections could such a small person have? His so-called reinforcements were just a joke. Chen Fan, really? Although the strength of this person who came now is not very good, he is enough to deal with today's situation. Har, really? Young people really don't know their place. Wait a minute, when your so-called friend kneels and wails at my feet, I hope you can still say such words, said Hou Zhentao. Chen Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense. However, the gang leader Wang Pao looked a little strange. He always felt that the voice on Chen Fan's phone just now sounded familiar. But I can't remember who it is. For some reason, he always had a bad feeling. Soon, Liu Yang arrived. Behind him followed a middle-aged man who looked intimidating without even getting angry. Liu Yang quickly stepped forward to apologize. "Sorry, Master Chen, we are late." "Phut ha. Hou Zhentao laughed out loud. He thought Chen Fan would find many helpers, but only two. Although these two guys didn't look easy to mess with, so what? He has hundreds of people under his command. Even if they are piled up together, he can kill them all. Then, Hou Zhentao gave a cold order. "Master Pao, do it. I'm going to chop these three people into pieces and feed them to the dogs." "Pao." As Hou Zhentao spoke, he felt something was wrong. Because Wang Pao behind him had no intention of taking action, the more than 100 people he brought with him also looked shocked and terrified. Hou Zhentao turned around and saw a scene that made his scalp tingle. Wang Pao, a well-known gangster, knelt on the ground, trembling all over, and kowtowed repeatedly, saying, "Brother Yang, Zhu, Boss Zhu, I didn't know he was your friend. I am sorry for offending you. I hope Brother Yang and Boss Zhu will spare my life." Boss Zhu. Hundreds of men under Brother Pao all knelt down. Wang Pao was cursing in his heart. That is Zhu Long and Liu Yang. Although he is the big brother in the underworld, he is nothing compared to Zhu and Liu. Apart from anything else, this leg of his was crippled by Liu Yang. But he still doesn't even dare to fart. This shows the gap between the two sides. But now Hou Zhentao actually wants him to deal with someone respected by both Zhu and Liu. Isn't this just asking for death? He even wanted to kill someone. Although Wang Pao currently has more people and more power. But he didn't dare to make a move at all. Apart from anything else, Liu Yang can kill everyone here by himself. If he really takes action, he will definitely not see the sun the next day. So Wang Pao surrendered without hesitation. Hu Qianqing was confused. Even if he didn't know what Julong looked like, how could he not have heard of this name? Julong is known as half city of Ju. That means half of Huahai belongs to him. Although this statement may be exaggerated, the position of the overlord of South City is real. Compared with Julong, what is the small Hu family? Chen Fan is actually friends with Julong. This. Liu Yang, destroy all these people. Julong was given orders as soon as he appeared. He was naturally trying to show his goodwill to Chen Fan. How could such small figures as Hu Qianqing and Wang Pao actually offend Master Chen? This was simply outrageous. Upon hearing this, Liu Yang rushed forward immediately. Wang Pao was so frightened that he dared not move. Hu Qianqing said quickly, Boss Ju, I didn't know he knew you, which led to today's misunderstanding. I am willing to pay to make peace, please spare me. Julong remained unmoved. Joke. The Hu family is just a small family with total assets of only tens of millions. How could he care about such a small amount of money? Accompanied by screams coming from the scene, Wang Pao and Hu Qianqing were all dismissed. Hu Qianqing regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he had known this would happen, he would never have dared to go against Chen Fan. At this time, Julong said in a friendly manner, Master Chen, you don't have to do this kind of thing yourself in the future. If there is a similar thing again, just say a word and I will take care of it for you. Chen Fan, Boss Ju, don't beat around the bush. You definitely didn't come here just to vent your anger on me, did you? Har har, you are indeed worthy of being Master Chen. To be honest, I do have an unreasonable request today. Julong said. Chapter 12, Meeting Yuan Hong again. Julong, to be honest, Master, I have a few enemies in Huahai, and we often have disputes. In modern society, using knives and guns has a bad influence. Generally, the way we resolve disputes is to send out our respective masters to decide the winner with fists and feet. You want me to fight dirty? A gleam of light flashed in Chen Fan's eyes. No, no. Julong said hurriedly, how dare I command a master of internal energy? I just want to be friends with you, Master Chen. As for whether to appear, the decision is entirely up to you. But if you are short of money, you can contact me at any time. I can guarantee that your fee for each appearance will be at least 1 million. This is a gift for you. The password is written on the back. I hope you will accept it. Julong handed over a bank card. Chen Fan checked it and was surprised by the balance, which was actually 3 million. This is already a huge sum of money, which most people cannot earn in their entire life, but now it is just used as a gift for meeting someone. It seems that this so-called internal strength master is more valuable than he imagined. However, Julong didn't know that Chen Fan was not an internal strength master, but a cultivator. His strength was far beyond the reach of a so-called internal strength master. Chen Fan did not hesitate to accept the money. As for the black boxing, he did not intend to agree. The so-called black boxers sounded good, but they were just advanced fighters and lackeys. With his status, how could he do such a thing? Seeing that Chen Fan had no intention of agreeing, Julong left quickly. Chen Fan also left immediately. Wang Pao, Hu Qianqing and others were all disabled, and the scene was in chaos. Soon, the Hu family arrived. They had actually arrived a long time ago. But with Julong present, no one would be stupid enough to rush in and die. A confidant helped Hu Qianqing up and said with gritted teeth, Boss Hu, we have never suffered such a big loss. Otherwise, let's notify Master Wei. No. Hu Qianqing objected without hesitation, don't tell the second brother. Not only can you not tell him, but you have to keep it a secret. If anyone leaks the news, I will never forgive him. The second one he mentioned is his own younger brother Hu Qianwei, also known as Master Wei. Even in the Hu family, not many people know about Hu Qianwei's existence. This is because Hu Qianwei went to Changshan to work hard a long time ago. Changshan is not as vast as the Sea of Hua. The economy there is more developed and there are more wealthy people. In comparison, Tianhai is just a big county town. Hu Qianwei took root in Changshan very early, and I heard that he was doing quite well. But no matter how well he does, he is no match for Julong. Julong is a dominant figure in the underground world of Huahai. Hu Qianqing already regretted enough for causing so much trouble for a good-for-nothing, so how could he be willing to sacrifice his own brother? The lights are coming on. Chen Fan and Su Xinran went shopping hand in hand. It was Su Xinran's first date with Chen Fan. She was nervous and excited. She ate in small bites and looked like a very ladylike woman. Passing tourists who saw this scene all looked at Chen Fan with envy and jealousy. Su Xinran is really too beautiful. Such a beauty who could bring disaster to the country and the people is actually taken. God is so unfair. Just then, the two of them walked past a jewelry store, and the colorful jewelry in the store immediately attracted Su Xinran. Let's go in and take a look. Chen Fan said. Don't want. The things in here are too expensive, just look outside. Su Xinran quickly shook her head, but Chen Fan pulled her in without saying anything. If you like it, you must get it. He doesn't need this little money now. Not to mention the 3 million Zhu Long gave in the afternoon, 10% of the shares of Lamar Temple is an astronomical figure, which is more than enough to buy this store. What is there to be afraid of? After being pulled in, Su Xinran was immediately attracted by a jade pendant. Chen Fan said to the waiter, take it out and let me see it. Har, if you're not serious about buying it, forget it. If this thing gets broken, most people can't afford to pay for it. The waitress' tone was somewhat sarcastic. Working here for many years had made her adaptable to different people. It was obvious that these two were not rich people, so how could they be willing to listen to their orders? Chen Fan frowned and said, do you mean I can't afford it? Har, I don't mean that. Although the waiter said this, his contempt was evident in his expression. Besides, this necklace is sold in pairs, and the total price is nearly 300,000. You should think carefully before you buy it. Chen Fan, why don't you look at it? Give it to me. I can still afford this. Chen Fan. Su Xinran was a little anxious. 300,000 was not a small amount of money. Even if Chen Fan drove a luxury car, he might not be able to take it out easily. Besides, she didn't want Chen Fan to spend the money. Didn't you hear me? Bring it here. Chen Fan said without any doubt. The waiter felt a little nervous. Did he offend the guest with such a heroic tone? Don't give it to him. He can't afford to pay for it if it breaks. Just then a shrill voice rang out. Chen Fan looked in the direction of their voice and found that it was Yu Wenhong who was showing off in a Bentley yesterday. Yu Wenhong's face was full of disdain. After being shocked by Chen Fan's Ferrari worth tens of millions yesterday, he immediately asked someone to check who this monster was. It turned out that he was just a poor guy from a small county. This result made Yu Wenhong so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He was actually scared by a loser. As for the Ferrari, it was easy to explain. It must have been borrowed or rented. In any case, it couldn't belong to Chen Fan. He had been looking for an opportunity to expose all this, and now he finally had it. Yu Wenhong said with great contempt, boy, I checked you yesterday. You are just a poor bastard from a small county. Your father is an elementary school teacher and your mother runs a small shop. Your family's total annual income is probably less than 100,000 yuan. You are so poor because you have no money. Do you deserve to pretend to be rich? And your car, is it also rented? You are really willing to rent a Ferrari to pick up girls? Yu Wenhong did not forget to sow discord. He was extremely proud of what he said, while the waiter's face was full of contempt. He thought he was a rich man, but it turned out to be a pretender. Chapter 13 confused Yu Wenhong. This, and this, pack them all up for me. Chen Fan found some of the most beautiful jewels and wanted to buy them directly. Since people say you have no money, then prove it to them. Anyway, he didn't care about this little money. Besides, he had never given Su Xinran any decent gifts when he first got together with her. This time he was just offering her a small gift. Har, can you afford so many things? The waiter didn't even bother pretending and said with disdain. Chen Fan, whether they can afford it or not is my business. Now there are customers who want to buy something from you, so as a salesperson, shouldn't you sell it? Sell it, why not? Here's a total of 1.43 million. Pay by card or cash. The waiter thought that the total price would make Chen Fan back out, but Chen Fan took out his bank card without blinking and said, swipe the card. The waiter was a little nervous. Could it be that the other party could take out a bank card with so much money? No, it was impossible. How could a poor loser from a small county town have so much money? The waitress still couldn't believe it, but when the words, "payment successful," appeared on the POS machine, her last bit of fantasy was shattered. Spending so much money in one go quickly alarmed the jewelry store's management. A man who claimed to be the general manager hurried over to say hello. His rudeness at first and his respectful attitude later even seemed a little funny. Is it possible for an ordinary person to spend more than 1 million yuan on jewelry? Of course, it is beneficial to have a good relationship with such a person. The waiter was shocked and said with deep regret, "Sir, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, I didn't recognize the real talent." Chen Fan immediately interrupted her, "Just because I have money, you are blind to my potential. Does that mean I am nothing if I have no money? As a service staff, you can't even treat everyone equally. How do you train your employees?" The general manager was stunned and immediately understood. He said to the waiter with a stern face, "Xiao Zhang, go to the finance department to settle your salary. We only need employees with good qualities and moral character." What he meant was obviously that the waiter's quality and character were poor. The waitress regretted it so much that her intestines turned green. She was able to work in this high-end jewelry store thanks to a lot of connections. After all, the welfare benefits here were much higher than those of ordinary companies, but now she has nothing. She glared at Yuan Hong fiercely, with undisguised hatred in her eyes. If looks could kill, Yuan Hong would have died thousands of times ago. If it weren't for Yuan Hong, she wouldn't be like this today. Yuan Hong was completely confused. He could never have imagined that a poor loser could afford so much money. At this time, Chen Fan passed by holding Su Xinran's hand, and he said coldly, "You said the car was rented, so is this 1 million yuan also rented? If you don't have the ability, don't think that others don't have the ability either. Can't people from a small county make a name for themselves?" After saying that, Chen Fan left. Yuan Hong's face looked extremely ugly. He could take out more than 1 million yuan, but there was no way he could spend it to buy a few broken stones. If he did that, he would definitely be scolded to death by his father. Chen Fan's background was correct, he was from a small county town, but how could such a powerless person come up with so much money? Yuan Hong couldn't figure it out. Maybe it was because he won the lottery, or for some other reason, but he was really embarrassed today, and he had to get back at them no matter what. Thinking of this, Yuan Hong took out his cell phone and dialed a number. He wants Chen Fan to be in big trouble. Although Chen Fan showed amazing financial resources, Yuan Hong was only surprised and it did not rise to the point of being wary. No matter how Chen Fan got this windfall, the information can't deceive people. Chen Fan is just a powerless loser. What's the use of a little money? He is not at the same level as me in terms of social relations. With just a few words, he could make Chen Fan suffer physical pain. At this time the phone was connected. "Master Yuan? What's wrong? What do you want to talk to me about?" A lazy voice came from the other end of the phone. The owner of their voice was Xu Kang, a well-known figure in the underground circle of Huahai. He was also one of Yuan Hong's cronies and had helped Yuan Hong deal with several blind people. Yuan Hong said politely, "Brother Kang, this is the case. I met a man here and I want to give him a beating. This man is from a small county town and has no background. He just made a little money recently. He can be said to be a real fat sheep." "Oh? There is such a thing? Who is he? Where is he now?" "His name is Chen Fan, and he is now on the commercial street on Zhongjian Road." After saying this, Yuan Hong was extremely proud. Chen Fan was doomed to be in trouble. Xu Kang was not a good person. He was cruel and greedy for money. Now that he had said this, there was no way he would not take action. It seemed that there was going to be another good show. But then something unexpected happened to Yuan Hong. Xu Kang not only refused but also yelled, "Yuan Hong, you are trying to trick me, right? You want me to go and cause trouble for Master Chen? Are you tired of living like this?" Yuan Hong was confused. "What Master Chen? His name is Chen Fan, not Master Chen. Chen Fan is Master Chen. You bastard. You asked me to take action without even investigating my identity and background. Aren't you asking me to die? I came from a small county town and I was almost killed by you. If you want to die, go get yourself killed, don't drag me along with you." After saying that, Xu Kang hung up the phone. Yuan Hong was stunned. What was going on? What Master Chen? Why haven't I heard of him? Little did he know that after meeting Chen Fan, Zhu Long, the underground overlord of South City, immediately warned all his subordinates not to provoke an internal energy master named Chen Fan. He couldn't wait to curry favor with such a master, so how could he offend him? Even if he was his subordinate, it was not allowed. And Shu Kang was a small leader under Zhu Long. It's ridiculous that Yu Wenhong still thinks that Chen Fan's social connections are not good, but doesn't he know that Chen Fan only needs one word to make everything he has now come to nothing? On their way back, Su Xinran asked, "Husband, where did you get so much money?" "Chen Fan, if I say that these are the medical fees given by others for treating their illnesses, would you believe me?" "I believe it. My husband is the best." Su Xinran looked proud. "Chen Fan." Su Xinran added, "But even if you have money, you can't spend it so recklessly. I can't wear so many jewels. Isn't this a waste?" "It's okay. If you can't wear it, just hang it up at home as a decoration. As long as it can make you happy, it's fine. We don't need this little money." "Husband, do you know that you look like a local tycoon who suddenly became rich?" "Really? Do you like me like this?" "I like you no matter what you are like." Hearing this, Chen Fan couldn't help but move forward and kiss Su Xinran. Being kissed in front of so many people, Su Xinran's face turned red, and she looked especially beautiful under the neon lights. Chen Fan couldn't help but pick her up. Just when he was about to perform a more intimate action, Su Xinran's cell phone suddenly rang. Someone sent her a message. After reading the message, Su Xinran's originally happy face suddenly became impatient. Chapter 14: The Lecherous Vice Dean. "What's wrong?" Chen Fan asked. "It's okay. It's the new vice president of the hospital. He wants to see me about some work." Su Xinran shook her head. She left a lot of things unsaid. For example, the new vice president often looked for him not only because of work, but also because of her beauty. For example, the new vice president has already touched her several times. If Su Xinran had not been careful, she would have fallen into his clutches. Compared to the previous vice president Huang Wei's greed for money, the most prominent characteristic of the new vice president Yang Ming is his lust. Almost all the pretty female nurses in the hospital have been touched by him. I heard that 2 young nurses have been raped. It's just that he did it very covertly, and there was no evidence to be found. In addition, he was powerful, so these things soon came to nothing. As the campus beauty, Su Xinran was naturally targeted by Vice Dean Yang Ming. He used his power to try to take advantage of Su Xinran time and again, and even almost succeeded once. If Su Xinran hadn't carried anti-wolf spray with her, her chastity would have been in jeopardy. However, Yang Ming must have an extraordinary background since he was parachuted in as the vice president. If she told Chen Fan the truth, it would be like causing trouble for Chen Fan, so she chose to keep silent. At worst, I can just pay more attention to it in the future. Chen Fan also noticed something was wrong, but since Su Xinran didn't say anything, he couldn't ask any more questions, so he could only observe secretly. The next day, after sending Su Xinran to the hospital, Chen Fan did not leave. Instead, he drove around the hospital and slipped back in. Chen Fan quickly found Su Xinran, but he did not show up. Instead, he followed closely to see what would happen. I only saw Su Xinran walk into the vice president's office in the administrative building. The new vice president, Yang Ming, is a man in his 50s, short and fat, with a Mediterranean hairstyle. Seeing Su Xinran, Yang Ming's eyes widened, and he said with a lecherous look, "Xiaosu, you are so beautiful." "Thanks." Su Xinran replied stiffly, "Vice President Yang, do you have anything to talk to me about? If not, I will leave first." "Hey! Why are you being so polite to me? Can't I just come to you if I have nothing to do?" "Xiaosu, don't make the relationship between us so stiff. We don't have to be superiors and subordinates. We can also be friends, or lovers." After saying that, Yang Ming was about to grab Su Xinran's hand, but Su Xinran quickly pulled his hand away and said coldly, "Vice President Yang, please respect yourself." Having said this, I thought Yang Ming would give up, but he kept insisting, "Xiaosu, I really like you, why don't you understand? What's wrong with following me? You will have a good life in the future. As long as you follow me, I promise to make you an attending physician within 3 years." Yang Ming became more and more excited as he spoke, and rushed forward to hug Su Xinran. Su Xinran quickly dodged and said in an unpleasant tone, "Vice President Yang, if you do this again, I will call for help. Next door is a lounge, which is basically full of people. You want to shout? I have already asked people to seal the meeting room in advance. If you can call someone over, I lose. Yang Ming said fearlessly. Su Xinran's face changed and she immediately took out the pepper spray. Unexpectedly, Yang Ming's movements were faster than hers. He held Su Xinran down. His face flushed and he said breathlessly, "You're still using this trick? Will I suffer the same loss twice? My little beauty, just follow me. I will make you feel very comfortable." After saying that, he pressed Su Xinran against the wall and kissed her forcefully. Su Xinran's heart sank to the bottom. At this critical moment, Chen Fan rushed in like an arrow and slapped Vice President Yang Ming hard in the face. Yang Ming was hit hard and fell to the ground. He touched his face and found it was all blood. His nose and eyes were no longer eyes. Chen Fan couldn't stand it anymore. This vice president was so shameless. He abused his power to do such dirty things and even bullied his own woman. How could he tolerate this? Chen Fan. Why are you here? Su Xinran was surprised and happy. Chen Fan smiled and said, "I just happened to pass by. Are you okay?" Su Xinran's nose was sore and she almost cried. What do you mean by just passing by? How could it be such a coincidence? It turns out that those who truly care about you are always protecting you silently. Boy, you are a horse. Yang Ming was extremely angry and stood up to argue. But before he could finish his words, he was kicked out by Chen Fan. This time was even worse than before. Yang Ming was like a sandbag that was hit and flew into the air, forming a strange parabola in the sky, and then smashed hard into the wall. This hit caused internal injuries to Yang Ming's organs, and he didn't know how many ribs were broken. He could only breathe weakly and grit his teeth and said, "Wang, you bastard, you're fucking dead. I won't be named Yang if I don't kill you." Then he called the hospital director and said, "Director Wang, I was beaten up in your hospital. I am the vice director and I was beaten up in my office. You must solve this problem for me, otherwise there will be no end between us." Chapter 15 Master, why is it you? After receiving the news, Director Wang Funian immediately rushed over with the hospital security. Although he didn't like this parachuted vice president, the other party had a very important background. He was parachuted in by a powerful big shot who had made a call to the city leaders. No matter what, Yang Ming must not get into trouble in this hospital, otherwise his career as the hospital director would be over. After taking a quick look at the scene, Wang Funian immediately understood that it must be Yang Ming, the bold and lecherous genius who had caused the current situation. But he still ordered the security guards to control the person who committed the crime. This is how society is. If you have no power or influence, no matter how right you are always wrong. Ordinary people can only be bullied when they go against people with connections. Everyone sighed inwardly. Chen Fan had worked in this hospital before and they knew each other well. In their opinion, there was absolutely no chance that Chen Fan would win. In short, he is doomed to be unlucky this time. There was a glimmer of satisfaction in Yang Ming's eyes, but his smile soon froze. Only a dozen security guards rushed forward but couldn't even get close to him. After just a few encounters, they were knocked to the ground by Chen Fan, wailing. Everyone's scalp tingled. Is this still the timid intern? When did Chen Fan become so powerful? Chen Fan, do you know what you are doing? Wang Funian was furious. If he couldn't even handle such a small matter, how would he survive in the future? He immediately acted alarmist. You injured our senior leaders. You attacked security guards. Do you know how serious a crime you have committed? Now that you surrender, I can consider giving you a lighter sentence. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Yeah. I want to see how you can be rude. Chen Fan had no intention of surrendering at all. After saying this, he pressed down on Vice President Yang Ming's wound. Arr! Yang Ming screamed miserably. Chen Fan. Wang Funian's eyes were bloodshot, and he gritted his teeth and said, "You're done. I promise you won't be able to leave this hospital. I promise." Chen Fan turned a deaf ear to these provocations. He was no longer the intern doctor he used to be, and he really didn't care about the director of a private hospital. Let alone the president of Huahai Hospital. What about the major shareholder Hou Zhentao? Didn't he kneel down? Chen Fan. Yang Ming gnashed his teeth and said, "You dare to do this to me, you're done. You don't even know who you've offended. My brother Zhu Zhuyang is the most powerful person in Huahai. He will definitely cut you into pieces. Definitely." Zhu Zhuyan? Chen Fan frowned. How could Zhu Zhuyan have such a brother? Yang Ming thought Chen Fan was scared, and said smugly, "You're scared now? It's too late. Even the provincial leaders have to give face to my brother. Who are you in front of him?" Chen Fan smiled and said, "Really? Call Zhu Zhuyan now. I want to see if he dares to talk to me like this." "Well, you asked for it." Yang Ming dialed the phone immediately. Although I don't know why Chen Fan said such a thing. But he knew that Chen Fan was finished. If anyone dares to provoke Zhu Zhuyan, he will have no place to stand in the entire Huahai. Not only Yang Ming. Others think so too. Even if he beat Yang Ming, it wouldn't necessarily be very dangerous, but provoking Zhu Zhuyan would be a different matter. A big shot like that would crush Chen Fan to death in anger, which would be no different from crushing an ant. Chen Fan is just a powerless loser, but he dares to speak like this, so arrogant. The call was connected quickly. Yang Ming said respectfully, "Brother, it's me, Yang Ming. Brother, I suffered a loss today. I was beaten up badly by a bastard named Chen Fan. He even said that even if you were here, you couldn't do anything to him. I called just to ask who this person is and how dare he say that. Brother, do you know this person?" Yang Ming knew that it would not be easy to deal with Chen Fan by himself, but it would be different if Zhu Zhuyan took action, so he fanned the flames like crazy on the phone. "What Chen Fan and Li Fan? I've never heard of them." Zhu Zhuyan answered subconsciously. The tone was somewhat harsh. Yang Ming and a group of hospital leaders looked at Chen Fan as if they were watching a joke. This result was not unexpected. Yang Ming was even more proud and was about to ridicule him. But just then, Zhu Zhuyan's anxious voice suddenly came from the other end of the phone. "Wait. You said his name is Chen Fan." Yang Ming, "Yeah, what's wrong? Isn't he a young man in his early 20s, about 1.78 meters tall?" "Yes." Yang Ming felt that his brain was not enough. "Brother, is there any problem? Any other questions?" Zhu Zhuyan cursed directly, "Yang Ming, you bastard. That's my master. You're looking for death, aren't you? You even dare to provoke my master. I'm telling you, apologize to my master right now. If you can't ask for my master's forgiveness, then get out of here. You are not allowed to set foot in Huahai again." Yang Ming was using the hands-free mode. Everyone heard the voice on the other end of the phone. "Master?" Everyone was stunned. That's Zhu Zhuyan. As a former national player, he has lifelong friendships with many leaders in the city and province. How many important figures are vying to curry favor with him? It is no exaggeration to say that he is the best doctor in Huahai. Such a person would take a small intern Dr. Chen Fan as his teacher? How is this possible? Chapter 16, Being Tricked. The key is that Chen Fan's identity is too humble. After all, they are former colleagues and they know Chen Fan inside and out. Both of my parents were small people in a poor county town. I have no power or influence, just a poor loser. Such a person. How could he accept the miraculous Dr. Zhu Zhuyan as his disciple? It doesn't sound real. It's like a beggar is the master of a billionaire. Why does he do that? Everyone couldn't understand. But it's true. There is no way someone like Zhu Zhuyan could act with Chen Fan. Yang Ming was shocked. His greatest support turned out to be someone else's apprentice. The next second, Yang Ming said tremblingly, "Mr. Chen, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, this is really a flood that has washed away the Dragon King Temple." "Really? Didn't you just shout that you were going to kill me? I want to see how you kill me." Chen Fan spoke calmly. Yang Ming was so frightened that he was shaking all over and didn't dare to speak. Chen Fan said to Wang Funyan again, "Dean Wang, you just said that I can't leave this hospital. Now I want to ask, can I leave?" Of course, Mr. Chen, what happened just now was just a misunderstanding, please don't take it to heart." Wang Funyan broke out in a cold sweat and regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he had known that Chen Fan had such a status, how could he dare to speak like that? He could never have imagined that she was just an intern doctor and could accept Zhu Zhuyan as her apprentice. But now the facts are in front of us. Chen Fan was too lazy to talk nonsense, so he took Su Xinran's hand and left. Su Xinran's eyes were full of pride and happiness. He is indeed the man I chose. On their way back, Chen Fan received an apology call from Zhu Zhuyan. Only then did he figure out the identity of Vice President Yang Ming. It turns out that this guy is Zhu Zhuyang's neighbor from his hometown. He has been idle and stealing things. Ever since Zhu Zhuyang became successful, he has been pestering Zhu Zhuyang and begging him to take him to the big city to see the world. Out of desperation, Zhu Zhuyang had to agree. I thought that finding a legitimate job for Yang Ming would help him reform, but who would have thought that he would end up offending Chen Fan? When he learned what had just happened, Zhu Zhuyang immediately stated that he would expel Vice President Yang Ming from Huahai. The hospital director, Wang Funian, will also be kicked out of the medical system. With Zhu Zhuyang's energy, it is naturally not difficult to do this. After saying this, Zhu Zhuyang said, "Master, I have an unwelcome request. After you left, I took Xian to get checked out. As you expected, Xian injured her spine during her training. Now her cervical vertebrae are severely displaced. I have discussed this with several experts and the only option in this case is surgery, but surgery carries considerable risks. So I was wondering if you could help me. I know this request is a bit unreasonable, but apart from you, Master, I can't think of anyone else who can cure Xian's disease without surgery. So, Chen Fan, okay, stop talking, I understand. I can go to treatment right now. Really? Master, I really don't know how to thank you for your kindness." Zhu Zhuyang was filled with gratitude and immediately informed Chen Fan of the location of his granddaughter Zhu Xian. Chen Fan drove there. The Zhu family had done him a favor, so this was nothing to him. When he drove to the designated location, Chen Fan was dumbfounded. "There is a police station in front of me." After he called and confirmed it again and again, he discovered to his great pain that Zhu Xian was actually a police officer. And the captain of the criminal police detachment. How can someone with such a hot temper be a policeman? How much suffering would those prisoners have to endure if they fell into her hands? Chen Fan quickly found Zhu Xian's office. When they learned that someone was looking for Zhu Xian, the entire police station was in an uproar. Zhu Xian is the most famous policewoman in the police station, and she is a rose with thorns. Not only is he skilled in martial arts, he also has a very bad temper. He has been punished many times for using too much force during missions. Even those pursuers can hardly escape the fate of being beaten to a bloody pulp. There were even rumors in the bureau that Zhu Xian hated men. So everyone was betting on how long it would take for Chen Fan to be kicked out. Even the most daring police officer believed that Chen Fan would not have been in there for more than a minute. But what happened next stunned them. Chen Fan went in for a full 10 minutes without being kicked out. Everyone was stunned. How is this possible? In the office, Zhu Xian asked unhappily, "How are you going to treat it?" Although he agreed to receive treatment. But what happened last time still left her with a lot of psychological trauma. Is it really appropriate to entrust yourself to such a scoundrel? Chen Fan said, "Just acupuncture and massage will do." Zhu Xian was filled with shame and indignation. Doesn't he massage involve touching the body? She subconsciously wanted to kick him. But thinking that he couldn't beat Chen Fan, he had to give up. What's more, their condition is really serious. So many expert doctors can only perform surgery. If Chen Fan can really cure the disease, even if he can take advantage of it, I will accept it. Thinking of this, she made up her mind, "Okay, then you come and heal me." Chen Fan said, "How can I do acupuncture with you wearing such thick clothes? Take off your clothes first." Su Xinran gritted her teeth, resisted the urge to kick Chen Fan away, and began to take off her clothes one by one. First, the straight police uniform, then the soft and warm wool sweater, and finally even the close-fitting shirt was slowly taken off, revealing a pair of small shoulders and skin as attractive as mutton fat jade. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Her skin is whiter than snow and extremely slender, which is really itchy. It was the first time that Zhu Xian was so open-hearted in front of a strange man that her face turned red as if blood was about to bleed. Chen Fan was dumbfounded. He just wanted Zhu Xian to keep a shirt, even if it was a little thin, it could still cure the disease. Who would have thought that she would be so direct? I have to say, this girl has a really good figure. Although she is facing away, the vague outline is enough to fully illustrate how strong the mountains in front are. Feeling the aggressive gaze behind her, Zhu Xian gritted her teeth and said, "Look at me again and I'll poke your eyes out. Hurry up and get treated." Chen Fan shook his head to get rid of those dirty thoughts and reached out to start massaging. This treatment was extremely painful for Chen Fan. He was a young man full of vigor and vitality. How could he have been tempted like this before? I was torn between heaven and man, and I almost slipped several times. Half an hour later, Chen Fan stood up. Okay, get dressed. Is that all? Zhu Xian's eyes were as big as copper bells. So many expert doctors have to perform surgery to cure this disease, but Chen Fan cured it with just a few pinches. She had already begun to suspect that Chen Fan was deliberately trying to take advantage of her. Of course, it's not that simple. Your condition is very serious. This treatment must continue for a week. Zhu Xian's eyes became even bigger. Still want to take advantage of the weak? Son of a bitch! She was certain that Chen Fan could not be cured at all and was just trying to take advantage of her. Su Xinran immediately put on her clothes, thinking about how to take revenge on Chen Fan. Just then a large group of people rushed in. The leader was a burly man with broad shoulders and a strong waist. His name is Chen Bin, and he is one of Zhu Xian's suitors. Chen Bin's background is one of the best in the entire Huahai. Pursuing Zhu Xian is not just about her beauty. You must know that the Zhu family has a huge influence in Huahai. Not to mention Zhu Juyan, Zhu Xian's father Zhu Hengtong is also the secretary of Huahai and a senior official. If he could catch Zhu Xian, it would be like joining forces with two powerful forces. Therefore, Chen Bin has always regarded Zhu Xian as his forbidden delicacy. Originally, Chen Bin was having dinner with a few friends. Suddenly I heard that someone from the police station was in the same room with Zhu Xian and stayed there for a long time. Chen Bin immediately couldn't sit still and rushed over without settling the bill. He didn't want to believe it before he came. But the scene before him was like a bolt from the blue. Chen Bin's face was extremely ugly. He pointed at Chen Fan and gritted his teeth and said, "Xiang, who is he?" Zhu Xian's eyes rolled, and she immediately hugged Chen Fan's arm, pretending to be very intimate. "He is my boyfriend, so what? Is there a problem?" As soon as these words came out, Chen Bin's eyes were about to burst into fire. The scene was filled with gunpowder. Chen Fan's face was full of black lines. Damn, I got scammed. Chapter 17, Don't Take Advantage, Bastard. Chen Bin said angrily, "Xiang, how can such a person be worthy of you? How come he's not worthy of me?" Zhu Xian fanned the flames. "My boyfriend is just better than you. He's 10 times or 100 times better than you in every aspect. Aren't you good at fighting? Do you have the guts to compete with my boyfriend? You can't even last a minute in front of my boyfriend. Chen Bin is a fighting maniac. He has been learning martial arts since he was young, and has mastered various martial arts. He has even won prizes in international fighting competitions. Even in the entire Huahai second-generation circle, he is one of the most powerful ones." Zhu Xian was worrying about how to take revenge on Chen Fan, and Chen Bin's arrival was like a pillow for a sleepy person. Chen Fan's face was full of black lines. "Damn, it's just a little advantage, is it that serious?" Zhu Xian continued to provoke. "What? You don't dare to make a move? Are you afraid of being beaten down and embarrassed by my boyfriend? What am I afraid of?" Chen Bin's face turned red with anger. He pointed at Chen Fan and shouted, "Boy, if you're a man, come over and fight me." At this point, Chen Fan knew that he had to take action today. Even if he told the truth, no one would believe it. This Zhu Xian is really scheming. I came here with good intentions to treat my illness, but she plotted against me like this. Chen Fan suddenly became furious and hugged Zhu Xian's waist, his big hands roaming freely on her hips and legs. "Since everyone treats you as your boyfriend, it's not possible that he can just be called your boyfriend without any benefit, right? There is no such thing in the world. If you don't take advantage of a good opportunity, you're a bastard. I have to say, it feels really good." Zhu Xian opened her beautiful eyes slightly. She never expected that Chen Fan would do this. Given her temper, she would definitely kick the guy if she encountered such a situation. But she just admitted in front of everyone that Chen Fan is her boyfriend. How could you slap yourself in the face so quickly? Although Chen Fan's actions were outrageous. But if they are boyfriend and girlfriend, then it's nothing. In order to continue the show and to make Chen Fan unlucky, Zhu Xian could only swallow her anger. She was filled with rage, and she only hoped that Chen Fan's fate would be even more miserable. This scene made Chen Bin extremely angry. "Boy, you only know how to hide behind a woman, are you still a man?" "Oh." Chen Fan smiled contemptuously. My girlfriend said that you can't even last a minute in front of me. In fact, she overestimated you. If you ask me, you wouldn't even last 10 seconds in front of me. So I advise you to get as far away from me as possible, so as to avoid getting hurt and regretting it later. Now that he has decided to take action, Chen Fan is too lazy to keep a low profile. After saying that, he pinched Zhu Xian's perky breasts hard. Zhu Xian even wanted to kill someone. She desperately hoped that Chen Bin could beat Chen Fan into a pig's head. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the audience looked at them in disbelief. How dare they talk to Chen Bin like this? Are they tired of living? Chen Bin is a real master. Court death. Chen Bin roared and rushed forward. He exerted his strength suddenly, and the solid wood floor beneath his feet cracked instantly. Boom! With a sharp sonic boom, a punch hit Chen Fan in the face. Chen Fan also threw a punch, and the two fists collided with each other. In an instant, everyone felt like an earthquake and the entire office was shaking. Click! Then there was the crisp sound of bones cracking. That kid's hand bone must be broken. Master Bin's moves are extraordinary. Of course. Master Bin is such a man that he can punch a piece of steel. This guy's arm is broken with just one punch. Everyone was whispering. Even Zhu Xian thought so. She couldn't help but worry, feeling like things had gone a little too far today. But what happened next stunned everyone. Chen Fan stood still, while Chen Bin, who was standing opposite him, suddenly let out a scream, and half of his arm drooped down like jelly. He was beaten to the point of having his bones shattered. Everyone was stunned. What is going on? Chen Bin was crippled with just one punch. The way everyone looked at Chen Fan suddenly changed. Zhu Xian was dumbfounded. The scene was in chaos. A doctor arrived soon and gave Chen Bin various anti-inflammatory treatments, and finally put a plaster cast on him. After regaining consciousness, Chen Bin did not retaliate, but knelt down and said respectfully, "Brother, please teach me martial arts, I want to be a real master." Chen Bin's biggest wish in this life is to become a true master. So he practiced martial arts desperately. But his talent was limited, and despite all his hard work in martial arts training, he only managed to get a ranking. Now that he has met a real master, he will not let go no matter what. Chen Fan was speechless. Don't you want revenge? I stole your beloved woman. I won't report it anymore. I am no match for you, big brother. Only a master like you, big brother, is worthy of Xian. I wish you a happy marriage and a son soon. Brother, I beg you, even just a few moves will do. As long as you are willing to teach me, I will do whatever you say in the future. Chen Bin said. Zhu Xian's nose was almost crooked with anger. I had hoped that Chen Bin could teach Chen Fan a lesson. That is the result. As a result, I was taken advantage of so much for nothing. Zhu Xian must be so depressed. Chen Fan said with a mixture of laughter and tears, "Okay, I'll just say a few words. In fact, you have mastered Kung Fu, but your foundation is not very good. If I'm not mistaken, you were born with a difficult birth, and your physical fitness has been worse than your peers since you were young. You often have to work twice as hard to do things that others can do easily, right?" Yes, brother, you are amazing. Chen Bin nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Because what Chen Fan said was very accurate. Her mother had a difficult labor for 2 days and 3 nights before giving birth to him. After he was born, many people thought he was dead. He finally survived. Chen Fan continued, "The reason why you are getting half the result with twice the effort is because of your difficult labor, which has led to insufficient innate energy. So, I will prescribe a medicine for you. As long as you take it for a month, your strength will at least double." Really? Brother, how can I thank you so much? Chen Bin was so excited that he almost cried. He had been looked down upon since he was a child because of his poor foundation. Now, was his hard work finally paying off? Mr. Shen, how old are you and you still believe in such evil ways? Can't you see that he is deceiving you? Just then, a shrill voice was heard. Chapter 18, Chan Shan Zhaozalong. Someone jumped out immediately. This guy is wearing all branded clothes and has a defiant look on his face, and is obviously a second-generation rich kid. The dozen or so people who came with him this time were basically either rich or noble. After all, the identities of those who could have dinner with Xin Lian couldn't be ordinary. This group of people basically scoffed at Chen Fan's words. What was this about congenital lack of vital energy? It sounded just like the tone of an old-fashioned charlatan. How could they believe it? So as soon as Chen Fan finished speaking, someone immediately refuted him. Mr. He. Shen Lian frowned. Mr. Shen, you are a highly educated person, why are you being led by this liar? What bullshit innate energy, do you believe it? If he can really cure diseases, I will write my name upside down. He Xiao finished speaking with great contempt, and then said to Chen Fan aggressively, Boy, don't you know how to heal illnesses? Come, let me take a look. If you can't tell, don't blame me for being rude. Don't think you can cheat people just because you have some skills. These days, money makes you the boss. Hurry up and tell me. If you say something wrong, I'll make you pay for it. Chen Fan frowned slightly. Do you really want me to say it? He Xiao said arrogantly, if you have the guts, just tell me. I'm just afraid you don't have the ability. If you can tell me, I will kneel down and kowtow to you. Chen Fan, you have weak sperm and little yarn, which is caused by your body being hollowed out since childhood. If I am not mistaken, you are not good in that aspect. The specific symptoms are premature ejaculation and impotence, and your second brother is abnormally short. As soon as these words came out, He Xiao's face became extremely interesting. Chen Fan's words really touched his heart, but this was his biggest secret, and even his closest people didn't know it. How did Chen Fan know it? Did he really see it? How is this possible? However, even if what was said was right, He Xiao would never admit it. If he admitted it, he would have no chance of survival in the future. His face flushed red, veins popped out, and he said angrily, Nonsense. You can't do it, and neither can your whole family. He Xiao's reaction just confirmed what Chen Fan said. If Chen Fan was talking nonsense, why would he be so ashamed and angry? Even stuttering when speaking? Is everything Chen Fan said true? Isn't this amazing? Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. These second generations were not all in one, and those who didn't get along with He Xiao immediately jumped out to make a scene. He Xiao, it turns out you're not good at that. When I went out with you before, you left after just a few minutes, and I thought you were delayed by something. So that's what's going on. He Xiao blushed. You, don't talk nonsense. Am I talking nonsense? The man laughed and said, Master Dong, Master Zhu, and Master Zhang were all there that day. You should all know clearly whether I am talking nonsense or not. Afterwards, I looked for that little internet celebrity and asked him what was going on. He stammered and said you were Zhao Zilong from Changshan. I was wondering what was going on. Today I finally understood. It turns out that he was saying you are not good enough. Someone immediately asked, why do you say that Zhao Zilong of Changshan is no longer capable? Don't you understand this? Zhao Zilong of Changshan went in and out 7 times. Ahahaha. I'm dying of laughter. That really won't work. Mr. He, so you can only do 7 strokes. Har har har. Everyone laughed so hard that their stomachs hurt. He Xiao simply wanted to find a hole to crawl into. He was so angry that he turned around and left, no longer having the face to stay here. But at this time Chen Fan said, wait, didn't you just say that if I was right, you would kowtow and apologize to me? What's the matter with you just walking away now? Chen Fan is a person who doesn't like to cause trouble, but is not afraid of trouble. If no one offends me, I will not offend anyone. If someone offends me, I will definitely offend him. Boy, what the hell gives you the right to make me kneel down? Do you know who I am? You dare to talk to me like that, are you tired of living? He Xiao sneered. Obviously trying to cheat. Those second generations can joke with him because they are all at the same level. Who is Chen Fan? What's the point of having good skills? Chen Fan frowned, and just as he was about to speak, Shen Lian suddenly interrupted. He Yang, you are so arrogant. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of my friends? You don't keep your word, are you still a man? If you don't kneel today, forget about being in this industry. It's also a question whether your father's company can continue to operate in the future. If Shen Lian still had some doubts about Chen Fan just now, he was now completely convinced. He didn't even need to take Chen Fan's pulse as he could tell the other person's illness at a glance. When would he not win over such a hermit master? He Xiao's face changed drastically. Although everyone was the second generation, Shen Lian was the top one. Compared with the Shen family, the He family was nothing. He just stood up with the intention of currying favor with Shen Lian by stepping on Chen Fan, but who would have thought that he would shoot himself in the foot? It was such a loss. He didn't dare to ignore Shen Lian's words. With the power of the Shen family, if they really wanted to target the He family, they would be finished. He Xiao's face turned red and blue. Finally, he gritted his teeth and knelt in front of Chen Fan. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Mr. Divine Doctor, please forgive me once for all. I will never make a mistake like this again. Please." It was not until Chen Fan nodded indifferently that He Xiao left dejectedly like a stray dog. After He Xiao left, more than a dozen second-generation people immediately surrounded him, seeking medical advice. They had seen doctors with excellent medical skills before, but this was the first time they had seen someone as skilled as Chen Fan. No one wanted to miss this opportunity. "Divine Doctor, please help me. Divine Doctor, please check if there is anything wrong with my body. Divine Doctor." Chen Fan answered them one by one. He could point out any chronic disease with incredible accuracy. Even healthy people would have some minor ailments that even the owner of the body would almost forget, but Chen Fan could point them out easily. Everyone was very grateful and exchanged contact information with each other. Zhu Xian was amazed watching from the side. She originally thought that Chen Fan was just a charlatan who had learned some lost medical skills and came out to cheat people, but who would have thought that his medical skills had reached such an incredible level? She previously thought that her grandfather Zhu Zhuoyang's evaluation of Chen Fan was too high, but now it seems that it was underestimated. Could it be that Chen Fan was not taking advantage of her just now, but was really curing her chronic illness? Doesn't that mean that I still need to continue receiving treatment? When Zhu Xian thought about being honest with Chen Fan for the next week, her pretty face turned red. In the end, Chen Fan prescribed a set of medicine for Shen Lian and told him to take the medicine according to the prescription. Shen Lian was so excited that he gave Chen Fan a bank card on the spot to show his gratitude. As for how much money there was, he didn't say it, as it would seem vulgar, but what Shen Lian took out must have been a lot. Before leaving, Shen Lian seemed to remember something and suddenly said, "Divine Doctor, please save my grandfather Shen Qianhao." Chapter 19. Can you compete with me? Shen Qianhao? Chen Fan was stunned. Isn't this the name of the richest man in Huahai? Shen Qianhao is a real estate tycoon with a net worth of over 10 billion. He is one of the top figures in the entire Huahai. It turns out that Shen Lian is Shen Qianhao's grandson. No wonder the guy named He Xiao didn't dare to say a word after he said that. Shen Lian said, "My grandfather Shen Qianhao suddenly fell ill a month ago. No famous doctor could cure him. Now his vital signs are getting weaker and weaker. I don't think he will last much longer. But if you, the miracle doctor, can help, my grandfather will definitely be able to recover. Please ask the miracle doctor to help. Then my Shen family will definitely reward you handsomely." Shen Lian was extremely respectful. He really saw hope in Chen Fan that his grandfather Shen Qianhao would be cured. Although he is the grandson of Shen Qianhao has 5 sons and 2 daughters, and there are more than a dozen grandchildren, all of whom are vying for power. If he can use Chen Fan to save Shen Qianhao, his status will definitely rise rapidly, and he may even be able to control the power of the Shen family one day. Chen Fan thought about it and agreed. Shen Qianhao's status was not enough to solve the disease, so he wanted to see what kind of difficult and complicated disease it was. Shen Lian was overjoyed. "Then I will wait for you to come to the Shen family." Chen Fan nodded and left. It was getting late, and he planned to go see Shen Qianhao early tomorrow morning. On their way back, he walked into a bank, intending to transfer the money Shen Lian gave him to his own account. After waiting in line at the counter for a long time, it was Chen Fan's turn. "Hello, please help me transfer the money from this card to this card." Chen Fan took out 2 bank cards and said. The customer service staff casually inserted the card, but was shocked when she checked the balance. The customer service stammered, "First, sir, you are a supreme customer of our bank. You don't need to queue up here. Just show your identity and a dedicated customer service will provide you with one-on-one service." Chen Fan was delighted as soon as he saw it. There was actually a full 10 million in the bank card that Shen Lian gave him. He was really generous. What surprised him even more was that there was more than 15 million yuan on his bank card. Even if we deduct the 3 million Zhu Long gave me last time, there is still more than 12 million, and more than 1 million has been spent on buying jewelry before, so where did the 13 million come from now? Could it be the so-called dividends from Lamar Temple? Chen Fan remembered that when Zhu Juyan gave him 1/10 of the shares of Yonghetang, he said that Yonghetang would have dividends every year. He didn't care at first, but who would have thought there were so many? No wonder the customer service was so polite. Depositing more than 20 million into a bank card would make you a big customer in any bank. Even those billionaires with a net worth of over 100 million may not be able to come up with so much money. Sir, how about I transfer you to a dedicated customer service? We have a special reception room with a much better environment than here. Seeing that Chen Fan didn't say anything, the customer service added, "No, just stay here." Chen Fan's tone was a little impatient. Having been poor for more than 20 years, he was particularly disgusted by this kind of differential treatment. Seeing the customer service hesitate, he said, "Why? Is it not possible? Can't I handle it at the counter?" Sure. The customer service was at a loss for words. Are all rich people so weird in temper? However, it is impossible for the bank to really treat everyone equally. After the business was completed, the bank president came to the front-line counter to ask Chen Fan about his well-being, handed him a personal business card, and threatened that this number would be open to Chen Fan 24 hours a day. You have to know that this is just a small local bank, which cannot be compared with the big four banks. How terrifying is the real wealth of someone who can deposit more than 20 million in such a small bank? I dare not even think about it. Chen Fan also knew that some things could not be changed by his own efforts, so he could only nod and leave. When I arrived at the bank entrance, a black Mercedes-Benz sedan just stopped and a man in a suit and tie with a beer belly got out of the car. The man was stunned when he saw Chen Fan, then he showed a teasing look on his face and took the initiative to greet him. "Chen Fan, why are you here?" "Zhu Wancheng." Chen Fan frowned. This man was named Zhu Wancheng and he was his junior high school classmate. The Zhu family is considered to be a relatively powerful family in the local area. They are in the timber business and have total assets of tens of millions. This has also led to Zhu Wancheng's arrogant personality. He was arrogant and domineering in school, looking down on everyone, especially good students like Chen Fan who only knew how to study. He ridiculed him countless times, openly or secretly. The two had not met again after primary school. It was heard that Zhu Wancheng was arranged by his father to go to other places because he failed to get into a regular high school. He didn't expect to meet him here. Zhu Wancheng looked Chen Fan up and down, and said with disdain, Har, we haven't seen each other for 7 or 8 years, right? How come you are still doing so poorly? I'm afraid the total cost of your outfit is no more than $100, right? Look at mine." He pointed at the leather jacket on his body, the latest model from Armani, 12,003. "I am now the general manager of this bank. I make tens of thousands of yuan a month like a piece of cake. How about you? I guess you don't even make 5,000 yuan, right?" Chen Fan frowned. "What do you want to say?" "I want to say that people are really incomparable." Zhu Wancheng said, "I said it before, good grades are useless. This society still values money and power. But you didn't believe it. Now let's see who is right and who is wrong between us. How much do you earn a year now?" Chen Fan suddenly asked. Zhu Wancheng said proudly, Har, it's no problem for me to easily make 400,000 or 500,000 yuan a year." "What? Let's compete." "You are not worthy to compare with me." Chen Fan said proudly, Zhu Wancheng, in your eyes, other people's income is just a fraction of yours, but how do you know if your income is a fraction of mine? Or is your income not even a fraction of mine? After saying that, Chen Fan left. There was nothing much to say to this snob, and he was too lazy to prove anything. He might have had this mentality a few years ago, but now he would ignore it more when encountering such things. There was no other reason. The gap between the two was too big. To Chen Fan, who had seen higher-level scenery, Zhu Wancheng was no different from an ant, and he was too lazy to care about anything. Zhu Wancheng was stunned by what he said, and it took him several seconds to react. His face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. Chen Fan, whom he had always looked down upon, actually dared to speak rudely to him, which really made him furious. Zhu Wancheng didn't think that what Chen Fan said was true. He just thought that Chen Fan was bragging because he didn't want to lose face. His annual income of hundreds of thousands was not even a fraction of his. How dare he brag? The conversation between the two soon attracted the attention of other bank staff. Although they didn't hear clearly what they said, It seemed that manager Zhu Wangcheng knew the big client. This alone is enough to attract attention. If they can get their big customer Chen Fan to deposit some more money, then they can complete their deposit task for next year ahead of schedule. The female teller immediately stepped forward and said respectfully, "Manager Zhu, do you know Mr. Chen? Chapter 20. If you want him to die, just get me out of here." "What, Mr. Chen?" Zhu Wangcheng was completely confused and didn't react at all. "It's Mr. Chen Fan who just left." The salesgirl said quickly, "Mr. Chen is a big customer of ours. He has deposited more than 20 million in our bank alone. He has achieved all his deposit targets for this year and even has a surplus. We are a small bank, but he can deposit so much money. Mr. Chen's real net worth must be more than 1 billion, right? He is so rich at such a young age, I really don't know what industry he is in. You know Manager Zhu, do you know this? Manager Zhu. Manager Zhu." The salesgirl felt something was wrong as she spoke, because Zhu Wangcheng looked confused and didn't respond to her at all. Zhu Wangcheng was extremely shocked. Chen Fan was a big customer with a deposit of more than 20 million? How was this possible? Wasn't he a poor loser? How could he have so much money? That's more than 20 million yuan, and their family is considered wealthy, but unless they sell everything they have, they simply can't raise that much money. With the financial resources of the Zhu family, they could only take out 3 or 4 million at most. If they took out more, the business would be in trouble. But Chen Fan could make several times their wealth with a flip of his hand. Moreover, this was just the deposit in a small bank, so the real wealth must be even more terrifying. No wonder he said that just now, his income is indeed not even a fraction of others. Zhu Wangcheng felt very disappointed. He never expected that the poor boy whom he looked down upon would become rich. Moreover, he was so bold as to show off his superiority in front of him. If Chen Fan was dissatisfied with him, he would just say a few words. Zhu Wangcheng didn't dare to think further. At this time, the president of the bank also came over, patted Zhu Wangcheng on the shoulder, and said kindly, "Xiao Zhu, what is your relationship with Mr. Chen? If your relationship is good, please say a few good words for our bank. Whether our bank's year-end bonus in recent years is large or small depends on you." How could Zhu Wangcheng dare to tell the truth? He quickly forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. "President, Mr. Chen and I were classmates in junior high school. We have a very good relationship. We are close friends, the kind that can't be more dead." "Really? That's great. As long as you can establish a good relationship with Mr. Chen, I will definitely speak well of you in front of the leaders and try to make you the vice president within 3 years." How could Zhu Wangcheng still have the energy to dream of becoming a vice president? He just wanted to apologize to Chen Fan and not let Chen Fan hate him, otherwise he would be finished with a word from the other party. Little did he know that Chen Fan was too lazy to bother with him. I'll go talk to him." After saying this casually, Wangcheng of later Zhu hurried after him. When they reached the intersection, they couldn't catch up with him. They only saw Chen Fan speeding away in a brand new Ferrari. Zhu Wangcheng is also a car expert. He could tell at a glance that this was a limited edition Ferrari. It was priced at over 10 million yuan, and you couldn't necessarily buy it even if you had money. It was a symbol of identity and status. Now Chen Fan was actually driving such a car. He was disappointed. It turned out that the gap between him and Chen Fan was so big. After Chen Fan returned home, their house was very quiet, no one was there. There was nothing he could do, the hospital was very busy recently. Su Xinran had to work overtime every day, but fortunately tomorrow was Friday, and the little girl should be able to come back earlier in the evening. The next day Chen Fan rushed to Shen's house. Shen Lian respectfully took Chen Fan to a high-end hospital invested by the Shen family. The second and third generations of the Shen family are basically all present in the hospital. Old man Shen Qianhai's health is getting worse day by day. This time, the Shen family specially invited a famous doctor from Beijing to treat him. If there is still no improvement this time, they may have to prepare for his funeral in advance. This is more related to the distribution of inheritance, so the Shen family naturally does not want to be absent. "My dear uncles, I invited this divine Dr. Chen Fan to treat the old man. Divine Dr. Chen is an otherworldly expert and will definitely be able to cure the old man." Shen Lian brought Chen Fan in and introduced him to everyone. "Shen Lian, you are f-king crazy, aren't you? So many famous doctors can't cure him, how can a young boy do it?" He must be a charlatan, right? If the old man knew that you hired a charlatan to treat him, he would probably wake up in anger. Then a shrill voice rang out. The person who spoke was Shenlong, the eldest of the 3 generations of the Shen family. As both are from the 3rd generation, Shenlian and Shenlong are competitors, so even at this time, Shenlong did not forget to ridicule him. Okay, stop arguing. Shen Junlin, the 2nd generation boss of the Shen family, said, Shenlong, don't talk nonsense. And you, Shenlian. Don't you see what time it is? You are still making trouble here. The person you brought is so young, how can he cure the old man's illness? Let me ask you, what is his current title? How many papers have he published in national journals? You asked a person who has nothing to treat the old man, isn't this nonsense? Shen Lian was speechless. He had checked Chen Fan's background and found that he was just an ordinary graduate without any professional title. However, he trusted Chen Fan's medical skills very much, and quickly explained, Uncle, he is really capable. Yesterday, he saw at a glance that I was having a difficult birth, and he prescribed medicine for me. I took it and it worked very well. What's the point of talking about something that can be known by investigation in advance? And you said that his medicine worked very well, but you didn't know that some special medicines have a quick effect in the short term, but they are harmful to the body. I'm wondering how you, a grown man, can't see through this trick. But. No buts. Stop talking for now. After Shen Junlin finished speaking, he turned to Chen Fan and said, Chen Fan, right. You are quite capable to have gained Shen Lian's trust. I would definitely teach you a lesson, but the Shen family is very busy today, and I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. Here is 100,000 yuan, take the money and leave. Don't make trouble for me here. After saying that, he took out a check and quickly wrote down a set of numbers. Chen Fan smiled but didn't answer. Shen Junlin frowned even more tightly. What? You think the money is too little? I warn you, I give you money because I don't want to bother you. If you dare to pester me again, I guarantee you will be in big trouble. Not everyone in my Shen family can be so presumptuous. Yeah. Chen Fan said, if you want the old man on the bed to die faster, just chase me away. Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have any say here? Someone get him out of here. The dragon jumped out again, shouting to drive Chen Fan out. But just as he finished speaking, Shen Qianhao on the hospital bed suddenly twitched violently, and the electrocardiogram also made a long and piercing sound. The pattern on it turned into a straight line, and his heart stopped suddenly. Chapter 21, Mystical Needle. Everyone's faces changed drastically. These were all famous doctors invited from the capital. How could this happen? The doctors performing the surgeries obviously had not anticipated this situation, and they were all sweating and panicking. They tried their best to pull Shen Qianhao back from the brink of death, but to no avail. Shen Qianhao's face gradually turned pale and even his body began to lose temperature. Shen Junlin was shocked. He didn't take Chen Fan's words seriously at all. But who would have thought that the old man would become like this in the blink of an eye? Could it be that Chen Fan was really the legendary hermit master? And I actually spoke rudely to such a great person. Shen Junlin wanted to slap himself twice. He said in fear and trepidation, Godly doctor, I didn't recognize the great man. I hope you can save my father's life. Chen Fan, I can save him, but you have to make him apologize to me first. He was talking about Shenlong who had been making rude remarks all the time. Shenlong was stunned and retorted subconsciously, Who do you think you are? Why do you want me to apologize? As soon as he finished speaking, Shen Junlin slapped him hard. Shen Junlin's face turned red and he gritted his teeth and said, Apologize. Shenlong seemed like a frightened quail, and said tremblingly, Yes, I'm sorry. Shen Lian on the side was laughing in his heart. He didn't expect that Shenlong, who had always been arrogant, would end up like this. Shenlong's apology was naturally not sincere, but when it came to a matter of life and death, Chen Fan was too lazy to care about it. He immediately pulled out the silver needle and stepped forward to seal several acupoints of Shen Qianhao, including the Tanzhong and Jiu Men acupoints. The next second, Shen Qianhao's chest began to bulge slightly, and an obvious curve appeared on the electrocardiogram. The heart beats back. Golden needle locks the acupuncture points. An old Chinese doctor beside the bed muttered to himself, his eyes full of shock. Teacher, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand? The accompanying doctor immediately asked. The old Chinese doctor sighed repeatedly. Golden needle locking acupoints is an extremely difficult technique in Chinese acupuncture. It can lock the heart meridian in an instant, revitalize the body, and prolong the rescue time. This is a life and death magic. There are only 5 people in China who can use this trick. This young man actually knows the art of golden needle locking acupoints. This is really incredible. Everyone was shocked. Who would have thought that such an unprepossessing young man would actually be a true national master with superb medical skills? At this time, Chen Fan spoke up. If I'm not mistaken, the condition you diagnosed the old man with is heart failure, and the drugs he used should be digoxin, milrinone, and levosimendan, right? Yes. Chen Fan, that's right. The reason why the condition suddenly worsened is because the medicine is not suitable for the disease. The medicine is not suitable for the disease. Isn't he suffering from heart failure? Several doctors questioned Chen Fan's words. They have been practicing medicine for decades. Could they have been wrong? Of course not, the old man is poisoned. It's not heart failure at all. Look. After Chen Fan finished speaking, he took out a dozen silver needles and stabbed them into Shen Qianhai's chest. His movements were very slow, and it took more than 20 minutes to insert more than a dozen silver needles. When all the silver needles were inserted, Shen Qianhai's face suddenly flushed, he coughed violently, and spat out a mouthful of black blood. The black blood fell on the floor and made a corrosive, sizzling sound, damaging a large area of the floor. The doctors all looked unhappy. Vomiting this was not a symptom of heart failure. It seemed that the old man was poisoned, just as Chen Fan said. It was just that the symptoms were very similar to heart failure. After spitting out the black blood, Chen Fan began to pull out the needles. When he pulled out the last silver needle, Shen Qianhai's eyelids trembled, and then he suddenly opened his eyes. Dad! Grandfather! The Shen family rushed over and surrounded him, each with a look of joy on their faces. He finally woke up. The Shen family was saved. Thank you, doctor, for saving my life. The first thing Shen Qianhai did after waking up was to thank Chen Fan. Although he was seriously ill and unconscious, he was not unconscious and he knew everything that had just happened. Although Chen Fan is not very old, he has witnessed with his own eyes how miraculous his medical skills are. People like him must be won over, as they can save lives at critical moments. Shen Qianhai took out his business card and said, "Godly doctor, this number will be available to you 24 hours a day. If you need any help from me in the future, please let me know." Everyone's face changed color. They had never seen Shen Qianhai lower himself so low before. Besides changing color, he was also envious. The effects of promises made by different people are completely different. With Shen Qianhai's identity to say such words, Chen Fan can walk sideways in Huahai in the future. The real estate tycoon and the richest man in Huahai are so respectful, who in Huahai will dare not give face in the future. No need to be so polite. Chen Fan spoke calmly and took the business card. In the past, if the richest man in Huahai said such words, he would definitely be extremely excited. But for now, that's it. After all, the levels are different. Shen Qianhai said again, "Divine doctor, you just said that I was poisoned, is that true?" "It's true. This is a poison called heart-eating powder. It is made from 12 kinds of medicinal materials, including earth heart flower and 5 colored fruit. The production process is very complicated. Most people definitely can't get this kind of thing." "Thank you." Shen Qianhai's face was gloomy. "They actually plotted against me, har, I must get to the bottom of this matter." Shen Qianhai's personal grudge had nothing to do with Chen Fan, so he gave a few instructions and was about to leave. My dear, there is more to this chapter. Please click on the next page to continue reading. It's even more exciting later. Before leaving, Shen Long came up to him and bowed his head to apologize. "I'm sorry, doctor, what happened just now was a misunderstanding, please don't take it to heart." If the apology just now was forced upon him, then now he was sincerely convinced. How could he afford to offend someone as respectful as the old man? "I'm afraid that if Chen Fan says one word, he will be imprisoned." Shen Long was so regretful that his intestines turned green. If he had known that Chen Fan had such miraculous medical skills, how could he dare to speak rudely? After Chen Fan left, someone immediately said unconvincedly, "Old man, why are you so polite to him? Isn't he just a doctor with better medical skills? There are many doctors out there. Is it necessary to be so polite?" What do you know? Shen Qinhao immediately reprimanded. Such a person can already be called a national player. Finding him at a critical moment means saving a life. No matter how respectful you are, it is not too much. In fact, there are so many big shots who are willing to make friends with such a person. In your eyes, I am being polite, but in their eyes, what is our Shen family? Remember, you are never allowed to offend this person in the future. Yes. Everyone was secretly surprised by Shen Qianhao's words. It turned out that the status of the national master doctor was so high. The Shen family's house is located on a bustling commercial street. As soon as Chen Fan walked out of the Shen family's gate, he felt a gust of fragrant breeze coming towards him. It's a side view, a person is chasing something. And Chen Fan just happened to show up at this time. The speed was too fast and there was no time to dodge, so the two people collided head-on. Chen Fan subconsciously used his hands to block it, but found that he was just pressing down on two huge objects. The feeling of being unable to hold his hand instantly reminded him of someone. Chen Fan looked carefully, and in his heart, 10,000 alpacas were running. He only saw Zhu Xiyan, who was in casual clothes, staring at him, with anger in her eyes that seemed to be bursting out. If looks could kill, Chen Fan would have died countless times by now. Chapter 22 Zhu Xiyan's benefits. Get out of the way. Zhu Xiyan was extremely anxious. After she finished speaking, she ran away and chased in one direction. But she soon came back panting and stared at Chen Fan with murderous eyes. Originally, she came here today to arrest a habitual criminal, who was the leader of a thief gang. He was very vigilant, agile, and had a strong anti-tracking awareness. The police had been staking out his activities for several days before they figured out his activities and then set up a dragnet to capture him. But who would have thought that Chen Fan would delay them at the most crucial step? And Chen Fan took advantage of him. The impact was so strong that Zhu Xian's two mountains are still aching. Thinking of what had just happened, Zhu Xian felt angry, anxious, and ashamed. Captain Zhu. How is it? Did you catch him? Where is he? Soon, a dozen plainclothes policemen came from behind and looked confused when they saw Zhu Xian and the others with empty hands. As the captain of the criminal police team, Zhu Xian's skills are unquestionable. How could he fail? The operation failed, withdraw the team. Although she was furious, Zhu Xian still remained rational at the critical moment. After all, Chen Fan was innocent in this matter. After saying this, Zhu Xian was about to leave, but was stopped by Chen Fan. Are you arresting someone? Tell me, maybe I can help. The man was able to escape just now because of him, so he was willing to help even if it was just a small favor. Zhu Xian's anger, which had just been calmed down, was aroused again. You help? What can you help with? Do you know that we waited for several days to find that person just now? Now that he has escaped, I don't know how much energy it will take to find him again. Do you think you are more powerful than all of us? Chen Fan, everyone has their own way. There's nothing to lose by letting me try. What if I can find it? If you can find it, you will definitely benefit from it. But can you find it? Zhu Xian said sarcastically. Chen Fan immediately became interested. What are the benefits? Zhu Xian, what's the point of talking about benefits now when we haven't found the person yet? Anyway, I will never let you down. If you have the guts, find the person and show him to me. Having said that, Chen Fan didn't want to ask any more questions. He immediately asked about the fugitive's appearance and then walked away. Everyone shook their heads secretly. No one thought that Chen Fan could find the person. This guy was notoriously difficult to catch, otherwise he would not have been active until now. So many of them set up a tight net and couldn't catch him. Now no one knew where the person had escaped to. Where could Chen Fan catch him? What these policemen thought was not wrong, but that was only true for ordinary people. It was completely inapplicable to Chen Fan. The reason is simple, he can see through things. Once this function is turned on, everything around him will be visible. Even the ants underground cannot escape his eyes, let alone a fugitive as big as a target. Moreover, the fugitive will definitely not go far. The fact that he often appears here shows that this place is his lair. An experienced person will not enter an unfamiliar environment in order to escape pursuit, as the possibility of being caught will only increase. Sure enough, after just 5 minutes, Chen Fan determined the location of the fugitive. He was sitting in a cafe drinking coffee. The cafe was only 300 or 400 meters away from Zhu Xian. He could clearly see the police's movements through the window. The fugitive was really brave. Chen Fan stepped in. The fugitive was nervous, his intuition told him that Chen Fan was coming for him. Although this sounded unscientific, after all, he had disguised himself very well, but this was the reality. It was not until Chen Fan appeared in front of him that the last glimmer of hope in the fugitive's heart was completely shattered. He stood up suddenly, took out a dagger and pointed it at Chen Fan, saying viciously, "Boy, I don't care who you are, but Master Bai is behind me. If you don't want to die, get out of here." The fugitive's action of taking out a dagger attracted everyone's attention. Several timid girls screamed, and even some men turned pale and were very panicked. After all, that was a life-threatening weapon. Looking again, I saw that the fugitive was tall and strong, with a fierce look on his face. He was over 1.85 meters tall and had well-developed muscles like a calf. Chen Fan, on the other hand, looked very frail, like a weak scholar. Everyone couldn't help but shake their heads. It looked like this young man was going to be in trouble today. But who would have thought that the next second Chen Fan would step forward with incredible speed? When he appeared in front of the fugitive, he stepped forward and bent his elbow. Boom! The fugitive was like being hit head-on by a speeding train. The huge inertia blew him away and smashed him hard against the wall, blood spurting out of his mouth, his ribs broken, and his chest deeply dented. Everyone was stunned. No one expected this result. This guy is really a hidden talent. Chen Fan took out his cell phone and called Zhu Xian to inform her that the fugitive had been found. Zhu Xian and the other police officers were stunned when they received the news. Found it? How is this possible? But soon they became worried again. You know, the fugitive was no pushover. He was very skilled and had injured many police officers before. It was said that he was a former black boxer and had committed murders before. They suddenly became worried about Chen Fan's safety. Although Chen Fan was quite skilled, no one could tell whether he would win or lose against such a desperate criminal. Zhu Xian secretly blamed herself, thinking that she had not considered the matter carefully and should not have let Chen Fan go alone. Upon hearing the news, everyone rushed there immediately. When they arrived at the coffee shop, they were all dumbfounded. Chen Fan was fine, he was sitting there with his legs crossed, drinking coffee. The desperado was so badly injured that he couldn't even lift a finger. Is this a horse or a person? The police suddenly realized that their worries seemed unnecessary. Chen Fan finished his coffee and said to Zhu Xian with a smile, "Didn't you just say that if I can do this, it will bring me benefits?" "What benefits are they?" Zhu Xian gritted her teeth. She had never expected things to develop to this point, but she was not a person who went back on her word. Moreover, she had prepared for this matter from the beginning. She just couldn't make up her mind to actually do it. Seeing that she didn't move, Chen Fan said, "You don't want to cheat, do you?" "Who cheated?" After Zhu Xian finished speaking, she suddenly held Chen Fan's face and kissed him with her pink lips. Chen Fan was stunned. He never expected that the so-called benefit would be this. The policemen around were also confused, because she was the famous female beauty in the police force. He has a hot temper and no one dares to get close to him. Now he's offering a kiss. This. After the kiss, Zhu Xian lowered her voice and said complacently, "I can't always let you take advantage of me. I want to take it back too." Chapter 23, Meeting the Parents. Chen Fan was speechless. It was still unclear who was taking advantage of whom. The fugitive was quickly brought under control. The police got a lot of useful information from him. For example, behind the fugitive is a theft gang with hundreds of people. The gang has a clear division of labor. Some are responsible for stealing, some are responsible for selling the stolen goods, and the criminal activities are extremely rampant. For example, there are other evil forces behind this theft gang. Based on these clues, the police immediately took action and arrested more than 100 members of the theft gang. These people also confessed that there was a man named Bai Yi who was secretly manipulating them. However, Mr. Bai is one of the top figures in the Huahai underground world, and is as famous as Zhu Long. He cannot be brought down with the existing evidence. Chen Fan was also taken back to the police station and made a series of statements before leaving. It was already late when I got home. As soon as he opened the door, Chen Fan saw Su Xinran, who looked as cold as frosty, behind the door. Behind her was a table full of dishes, all of which had gone cold and no one was touching them. Chen Fan's heart skipped a beat. Finished. He forgot that today was Friday and Su Xinran would leave work early. It seemed that Su Xinran came back early and prepared a table of food to give herself a surprise. In the end, the food was cold and he still hadn't come back. Wife, please listen to my explanation. Chen Fan immediately admitted his mistake. It's like this, I happened to meet the police catching a thief on my way home today, so I helped catch the thief, and then I was taken away to make a statement, which is why it has been delayed until now. Do you think I will believe it? Su Xinran's eyes turned red. Why do you have to make up such an excuse to lie to me when you can make up any other excuse? If you don't like me, just say it directly. There's no need to lie to me in this way. I'm not lying to you. This matter should have been reported in the news. If you don't believe me, search it online. Chen Fan said. Su Xinran, okay, tell me where it happened. If I can't find it, you're dead. Chen Fan quickly informed Su Xinran of the location, and she immediately searched the internet. She didn't believe that such a thing would happen at all, but the result surprised her. There was indeed corresponding news on the internet, showing that just this afternoon, the police cracked a large-scale theft gang and arrested more than 100 criminals. The police also issued a special commendation to the enthusiastic citizen Mr. Chen. If it weren't for his help, the group would have escaped long ago. There is also a photo of the police and enthusiastic citizen Mr. Chen. Although the face was blurred, Su Xinran still recognized it as Chen Fan at a glance. Su Xinran was stunned. She immediately realized that she had misunderstood. It turned out that Chen Fan was not making up a story. All this was true. Thinking of Chen Fan confronting the criminal gang head-on, she said worriedly, I'm sorry, honey. I misunderstood you. How did you get into a fight with the criminal gang? Are you hurt? Let me see. Chen Fan said unhappily, my body is fine, but my heart is hurt. Sorry. Honey, I apologize to you. After saying that, Su Xinran took the initiative to tiptoe and offered her sweet lips, husband, please forgive me. After hearing such a beautiful woman's pitiful apology, the last bit of anger in Chen Fan's stomach disappeared. Besides, he already felt guilty about what happened today. While eating, Su Xinran was still browsing the news. Suddenly, she saw Zhu Xian in the photo and subconsciously muttered, this female police chief is really beautiful. Chen Fan lowered his head and ate his meal with a guilty conscience. After a while, Su Xinran received a call from her mother Wu Mai. Because tomorrow was the weekend, Wu Mai planned to invite all the relatives to get together while everyone was free, and also let them get to know Chen Fan. The main reason for calling this time was to ask Chen Fan for his opinion. Chen Fan naturally agreed. At night, Chen Fan suddenly said, Xinran, your mother wants to introduce me to all the relatives. This means that in her eyes, we are family. How can we still sleep in separate beds? Why don't we sleep together? I promise I will only sleep and not do anything else. No. Su Xinran immediately refused, you are definitely going to mess around, don't I know you? Chen Fan, please, it's cold sleeping alone in this winter. I just want to squeeze in with you so that I can be warmer. No way. Su Xinran's pretty face flushed, but she couldn't help but feel soft-hearted when she saw Chen Fan's pitiful expression. Okay, we can sleep together, but you have to promise not to mess around. Don't worry, I promise I won't do anything rash. Chen Fan nodded his head like a chick pecking at rice. Of course, when he said this, he silently added 2 words in his heart. No wonder. Are you still a man if you hold such a delicate beauty in your arms and don't move? As soon as the lights were turned off at night, Su Xinran exclaimed from the bedroom. No. Chen Fan. Bad guy. You promised me not to move. So bad. That night, Chen Fan really took advantage of many things. Of course, the last line of defense was never breached. Su Xinran is a very conservative person. Although she agreed to be with Chen Fan, she is unwilling to give herself up so quickly. Chen Fan naturally respected her choice. As for the rest, Su Xinran actually agreed to it, but he was too shy to admit it in person. It was not until late at night that Su Xinran fell asleep with a blushing face. Chen Fan was also very hurt, but he was still very happy. After all, the relationship between the two had taken a step further, and it was only a matter of time before they completed the final hurdle. At noon the next day, Su Xinran's relatives arrived one after another. Most of the people who came were from Wu Mai's side. Su Xinran's father divorced her mother early in her life and they hadn't been in contact for more than 10 years. She also had little contact with her father's relatives. Wu Mai's relatives were all very welcoming, and nothing like the bloody incidents that Chen Fan had imagined happened. Every time someone came over, Wu Mai introduced them. Xiao Chen, this is your uncle. This is your second uncle. These are your uncle and aunt. Chen Fan greeted them awkwardly but politely, and the relatives also expressed their goodwill. At this time, Su Xinran's cousin Li Ting came over and circled around Chen Fan. Her surprised expression seemed as if words were written on Chen Fan's face. Li Ting said like a curious baby, "Brother-in-law, my sister has very high standards when it comes to choosing a partner. Can you tell me how you got him? Your love story must be very romantic, right? Brother-in-law, can you tell me?" Ting Ting? Su Xinran blushed. "What's wrong, sister? Are you still shy? Brother-in-law, don't pay attention to her, just say your own words." Li Ting's persistence made Chen Fan laugh and cry. Just then Li Ting's phone rang. Her face suddenly looked a little ugly and she quickly walked aside to answer the phone. Although they were far away, everyone could still vaguely hear the man's roar on the phone. Li Ting looked extremely embarrassed. Chen Fan frowned slightly. Why did this voice sound so familiar? Chapter 24 Trouble is coming. After the call, Li Ting hurried over to apologize. "I'm sorry, the company leader asked me to go back to work overtime, you guys eat first." Everyone immediately became dissatisfied. The weekend is a time for rest, but it doesn't make sense to call people to work overtime with just a phone call. Of course, they also know that modern society is like this. Ordinary people have no choice and can only complain. When Li Ting was about to leave, Chen Fan suddenly stopped her and said, "Wait. Is your leader's surname Zhu Wangcheng?" "Really?" Li Ting asked in surprise, "Do you know my brother-in-law?" Chen Fan laughed as soon as he heard it. No wonder their voice sounded familiar to him. It turned out to be this guy Zhu Wangcheng. The world is really small. He said, "I know him. He and I were classmates in junior high school. Why is he working overtime when it's almost time for dinner? Give me the phone number and I'll talk to him." "No need, brother-in-law. I can just go over and type on the computer. You don't need to come out and say hello." Li Ting quickly refused. She knew Zhu Wangcheng's character very well. He bullied the weak and flattered the strong, and was only interested in profit. How could such a person give in just because of their former friendship as classmates? She didn't want Chen Fan to lose face in front of so many people. But Chen Fan insisted, "Bring it here." Li Ting had no choice but to hand over the phone. She added, "Brother-in-law, Manager Zhu has a bad temper. If he says something unpleasant, don't take it to heart." Chen Fan smiled and said, "Don't worry, he doesn't have the guts to say anything unpleasant to me." Li Ting was stunned for a moment. This brother-in-law looked just an ordinary guy, so how could he speak so confidently? Chen Fan didn't care and called back. Zhu Wangcheng's impatient voice soon came from the other end of the phone. "Li Ting, you don't have a brain. I told you to go back and fix the system. Do you need me to give you instructions again and again for such a small matter?" Li Ting was extremely embarrassed. Chen Fan said, "Zhu Wangcheng, you are so majestic." "Zhu Wangcheng, who are you? Isn't this Li Ting's phone? How do you know me?" Chen Fan, har, we just met 2 days ago, you didn't forget it, right? I see so many people every day, who knows what kind of bastard you are? At this point, Zhu Wangcheng stopped talking, and his tone suddenly became terrified. You are not Mr. Chen, right?" Chen Fan, "Heh. Is your memory okay? Zhu Wangcheng, it turns out that I am just a bastard in your eyes." No, Mr. Chen, Brother Fan, it's my fault that I didn't recognize you. I didn't recognize your voice. Please don't bear grudges against me, please don't bear grudges with me. I'm a bastard, my whole family is a bastard, it's all my fault. Mr. Chen, please forgive me, I beg you." After saying that, Zhu Wangcheng slapped himself in the face, and the sound of slaps could be heard from the other end of the phone. Zhu Wangcheng was about to cry. He was worried that he wouldn't have a chance to apologize to Chen Fan for what happened last time. As a result, when Chen Fan called him today, he was so blind that he called Chen Fan a bastard. Isn't this just asking for death? With Chen Fan's current status, everything he has would be wiped out with just one word. King Ju regretted so much that his intestines turned green. If he had known it was Chen Fan, he would not have dared to speak like that even if he had the courage of a bear or a leopard. The voice on the other end of the phone stunned everyone at the scene. Especially Li Ting. She knew very well what a villain general manager Zhu Wancheng was. Now Chen Fan made the other party apologize sincerely and slap himself with just a few words. It can be seen that Chen Fan's status is definitely higher than Zhu Wancheng, and it is at a level that Zhu Wancheng cannot reach. Otherwise, King Cheng of Zhu would never have this attitude. I didn't expect that the brother-in-law I met on the first day would be so secretive. The relatives were also secretly shocked. They had inquired about Chen Fan's situation in advance. When they learned that Chen Fan moved to this villa to live with Su Xinran before getting married, although they did not say it, they felt sorry for Wu Mai in their hearts. Because in their opinion, Chen Fan was taking advantage of them. How can it be that a grown man with hands and feet always lives at his mother-in-law's house? Men who live off women are despised in any era. But now they realized that Chen Fan was so extraordinary. Just a few words from him could make the general manager of a bank so terrified. The power behind him was so terrifying that it was unimaginable. It turns out that Chen Fan is not a gigolo at all, but Wu Mai is the one who has a keen eye for talent. Okay. After a long while, Chen Fan finally spoke. Li Ting is my cousin. We are having dinner together, and it is the weekend now. You should use your rest time to rest. Can't you talk about it after work? I am here to say hello to you, so please don't let her work overtime. Yes, whatever you say is what I mean. Zhu Wancheng said quickly. Mr. Chen, where are you now? I was wrong about what happened last time. I want to apologize to you in person. Chen Fan was a little impatient. Just do your job well. Yes. With Miss Li's talent, being a teller is a waste of her talent. How about I promote her to the head of the finance department? What do you think, Mr. Chen? Zhu Wancheng couldn't curry favor with Chen Fan, so he wanted to curry favor with Li Ting. Chen Fan was speechless. You decide for yourself. After saying that, he hung up the phone. Brother-in-law. Li Ting's eyes were full of stars, and she said excitedly, you are so amazing, I don't know how to thank you. Then the family had dinner together. During the dinner, everyone's attitude towards Chen Fan had completely changed. Before, they were polite, but now they were more respectful, because they all knew that Chen Fan could change their fate with just a few words. Seeing her son-in-law shine, Wu Mai's face also lit up, and they laughed throughout the meal. When we were almost done eating, a middle-aged lady dressed in jewels suddenly knocked on the door. The lady looked around and quickly set her eyes on Chen Fan. Su Xinran frowned. The visitor was called Wang Aryu, and she lived nearby. Her husband is in the hotel business, worth over 100 million yuan, and has a son who is about the same age as her. Wang Aryu's son has been pursuing Su Xinran, but their family's threshold is too high and Su Xinran has no interest at all. So many relatives came to meet Chen Fan today. It must be nothing good if Wang Aryu came here at this time. Chen Fan also looked over there. Although he didn't know the man's identity, he could tell there was hostility in the man's eyes. He had expected that things would not go smoothly today, and now trouble had indeed arrived. Chapter 25. Buy a house directly. What about eating? After Wang Aryu greeted him, she said sarcastically, Xinran, this is your boyfriend, right? My son has been pursuing you for so long and you didn't agree. I thought you had high standards, but in the end you found such a piece of trash. Su Xinran said with an unpleasant expression, Auntie Wang, what do you mean by this? We were just chatting casually, is there any need to be angry? Wang Aryu said sarcastically, besides, I'm doing this for your own good. Look at the guy you found. He looks so poor. With someone like him, I don't think it would be easy for me to buy a house, right? My son owns 3 houses, one of which is a villa in the city, worth more than 8 million. If you follow him, you may never be able to live in such a mansion in your life. So I advise you to break up with him right away. What future can you have with a man like this? After hearing this, Su Xinran was so angry. What does it have to do with you, Wang Aryu, whether her boyfriend is rich or poor? The relatives around also felt offended, especially Li Ting, whose face turned red with anger and she wanted to jump out and curse Wang Aryu's ancestors for 18 generations. Chen Fan had just helped her so much, but now he was humiliated. How could she swallow this? But everyone knows that Wang Aryu's family is not just rich, they are billionaires. That is the top level that ordinary people can get in touch with. Even if Chen Fan had just demonstrated his extraordinary background, he would probably not be a match for Wang Aryu. Seeing that everyone dared to be angry but not to speak out, Wang Aryu felt even more proud. At this time, Chen Fan stood up and said, "Auntie Wang, right. A house worth more than 8 million is worth your bragging? Little did you know that I might not even like this house even if it was given to me." He already knew what was going on. Chen Fan will never tolerate such people who have a sense of superiority. Since this guy likes to show off his house so much, just buy a more expensive one to slap her in the face. Since I don't own a house anyway, I might as well buy one and keep it there. You don't even like it when I give it to you? Who do you think you are? Wang Aryu got angry. Do you have a house? Someone like you probably won't be able to afford a house in the city for the rest of your life. Chen Fan, sorry, although I don't have any property under my name, it's easy for me to buy a house, and I guarantee it's more expensive than the 8 million villa your son mentioned. Better. After saying that, Chen Fan walked out and called Shen Qianhao. Since you want to buy a house, of course you have to consult Huahai, the real estate tycoon. Mr. Shen, it's me, Chen Fan. Are you free now? I have something small to consult you about. You are too polite, doctor. I told you that if you need anything, just let me know. Shen Qianhao's extremely respectful voice came from the other end of the phone. Chen Fan, it's like this, I want to buy a suite, preferably a more expensive villa with good quality. Do you have any recommendations? Why would you need to buy it, miraculous doctor? I have so many properties under my name, I'll just give you one. How can this be possible? Why not? If it weren't for you, the miracle doctor, I would have died long ago. What's the point of leaving so many houses? Besides, you saved my life last time, and I haven't repaid you yet. Don't refuse it anymore. If you refuse again, it means you look down on me, Shen Qianhao. Chen Fan was speechless and had to agree. Shen Qianhao added, the best villa in Huahai is Hongyang Villa. Half of the house there belongs to me. I will ask my men to handle the formalities. You can go there anytime. He truly deserves to be the richest man in Huahai, as he actually owns more than half of his properties in Hongyang Villa. After finishing the call, Chen Fan returned to their house. Hey! Are you back? Don't tell me you bought their house with just one phone call. Wang Aryu said sarcastically. You're right. I bought the house with just one phone call. Chen Fan nodded. The house is in Hongyang Villa. Chen Fan actually bought a house in Hongyang Villa? Their whole audience was talking about it. Wang Aryu, in particular, looked even uglier. You know, Hongyang Villa is the most upscale villa area in Huahai, and the cheapest villas there are over 15 million. The villa under her son's name is okay to show off in front of ordinary people, but it is not even worthy of carrying shoes in front of Hongyang Villa. I don't believe it. Can you afford Hongyang Villa? You are not even worthy of being a security guard at Hongyang Villa. You bought such an expensive house with just one phone call. Who are you trying to fool? A few seconds later, Wang Aryu shouted, let's go and see it together if we can. If you can really afford Hongyang Villa, I will kneel down and kowtow to you. Chen Fan naturally had no reason to refuse. After getting consent, Wang Aryu went home and drove out in a hurry. Wang Aryu's husband He Jun was responsible for driving. He is the billionaire with a net worth of over 100 million. In his eyes, Wang Aryu's behavior was as boring as a child playing house, but Wang Aryu had a bad temper and he couldn't persuade her. Even He Jun's eyes when he looked at Chen Fan became full of disgust. The young man was not pragmatic at all and only knew how to brag all day long. Everyone was very nervous. Especially Su Xinran. Although Chen Fan is very capable. But she still didn't think Chen Fan could afford the house in Hongyang Villa. But now the arrow has been shot, so everyone has no choice but to drive behind. Soon they arrived at the gate of Hongyang Villa. A man dressed as an agent was waiting at the door. When he saw Chen Fan getting off the car, he immediately ran over and said respectfully, "Is this Mr. Chen? I'm Greenskin's agent. You just completed a real estate transaction. This is your real estate certificate. Please keep it." After saying that, he handed over the property certificate. Chen Fan opened it in front of everyone. The ownership is clearly written on it. Everyone was stunned. Can Chen Fan really afford a house? How is this possible? Even He Jun and Wang Ryu were no longer as calm as before. But they couldn't fully believe it until they saw their house. So Chen Fan asked the agent to show their house to him. Everyone filed in. At this moment, in a black car not far away, a man wearing sunglasses slowly withdrew his gaze. He took out his cell phone and dialed a number. Target confirmed, please give instructions. Let's get started. I've already booked your flight ticket. Leave the country as soon as the mission is accomplished. Yes. After hanging up the phone, the man immediately put on a camouflage uniform and took out a long black leather suitcase. When he opened the suitcase, he found a sniper rifle inside. He dismantled and checked the car skillfully, then closed the suitcase and opened the car door. He then disappeared quickly into the woods like a nimble orange cat. Chapter 26: Breaking the Wall and Catching People. Hongyang Villa. The intermediary led everyone deeper. He Jun and Wang Ryu became more and more surprised as they walked. Others may not be clear about this, but they know that even the villas in Hongyang Villa are divided into different levels. The cheapest is a villa in Zone C, with the price of one villa fluctuating around 15 million. Above are the villas in Area B, which have larger floor plans, better views and more complete configurations. The price of this type of villa is around 30 million. The most top-notch ones are the villas in Area A. This type of villa has the most complete configurations. Even in the entire Hongyang Villa, there are only 3 such villas. The cheapest villa in Area A was sold for more than 50 million yuan. This is already the best house in Huahai. They originally thought that even if Chen Fan bought a house here, it would at most be a villa in Zone C. But who would have thought that the agent would go deeper and deeper, without even stopping when passing through areas C and B? Finally it stopped at the door of the villa in Area A. Could it be that Chen Fan bought the villa in Area A? How is this possible? Hello, sir. This is the property you are trading. Please come in. The green-skinned agent opened the door very politely, and everyone was stunned. This villa covers an area of more than 2,000 square meters and has all the facilities nearby, including a swimming pool, gym, helipad, etc. The decoration is extremely luxurious, and it is indeed worthy of being the top luxury house in Huahai. Even Chen Fan didn't expect that Mr. Shen would give such a big gift. Wow! Isn't he this too big? Brother-in-law, I adore you so much. My cousin Li Ting was so amazed that she couldn't close her mouth. Wu Mai was also shocked. How much does this cost? The agent answered, the market value of this house is over 50 million. The exact price depends on the negotiation. After all, the price of luxury houses of this level fluctuates greatly. A house worth 50 million. No one knew what to say. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen. My wife is ignorant and has caused you trouble. I apologize to you on her behalf. He Jun quickly apologized. He knew what it meant to be able to afford a house like this. Chen Fan's net worth is at least hundreds of millions. He is far from being able to compare. Wang Ryu was confused. But she still insisted, a villa worth 50 million is nothing. It's not like our family can't afford it. He Jun was speechless. Their family's assets are over 100 million, but that is the assessed value, and their actual wealth is probably discounted. To be able to afford a house like this, one would have to sell everything they have. This is nothing compared to someone like Chen Fan who could just buy a house with just a phone call. Why did I marry such a jerk who knows nothing? What bad luck! Chen Fan also took a casual look. He was quite satisfied with the house. The only drawback was that it was too big, and so many rooms were empty, and he didn't know what to do with them. Just as he walked past the window, an accident happened. Bang! There was a dull thud, and in an instant the glass in front of Chen Fan was shattered. A bullet flew towards him, and was about to hit him in the middle of his eyebrows. Someone is shooting in the distance. Where have these people at the scene ever encountered such a situation? Everyone was shocked. The next second, there was a muffled sound and the bullet went through the wall. And Chen Fan had appeared several meters away without knowing when he dodged in an instant. Everyone was stunned. He could even dodge bullets. His reaction ability was too strong, wasn't it? The next second, Chen Fan chased out. His face looked extremely ugly. How dare you shoot me in the back? Damn it! Chen Fan rushed out like a hunting leopard, and in a few blinks of an eye he had run more than 10 meters. The sniper's face changed drastically not far away. Chen Fan's skills made him feel extremely threatened. This was something that not everyone could do. Even among those veterans who have been struggling on the line between life and death for years, only 1 in 10,000 can do this. The intelligence was wrong. The person we met this time was not a warm-hearted citizen, but an invincible warrior who had experienced hundreds of battles. The sniper turned and ran. He was worried that his life would be in danger if he stayed here any longer. Fortunately, although the two were only a few dozen meters apart, there was a wall blocking them. If Chen Fan wanted to go around the wall, he would have to walk at least a few hundred meters more. This distance is enough to escape. After all, he parked the car not far away, so as long as he could get in the car, he would be safe. The sniper fled desperately. Then there was a thunderous roar behind him. He turned around suddenly and saw the most unforgettable scene in his life. The thick wall behind him was completely blown open like a piece of white paper, and the bricks, stones and steel bars broke into pieces and scattered everywhere. Chen Fan smashed the wall with one hand and rushed over like lightning. The sniper didn't know what to say. Even a bulldozer would have to use a lot of force to push down such a thick wall, but now it was shattered by Chen Fan's punch. Is this still a human being? He almost suspected that Chen Fan was an ancient giant beast in human skin, otherwise how could he have such terrifying power? The distance between the two people is getting closer. 20 meters, 10 meters, 5 meters. The sniper's eyes went dark and he was lifted up by Chen Fan. Who sent you? Chen Fan asked. Brother, don't kill me. I'll tell you everything. The sniper immediately got scared. Bai Sen sent me to kill you. You ruined his plan, so he paid to kill you. By the way, Bai Sen is Mr. Bai on the road. The man behind the theft gang that you helped the police crack last time was Bai Sen. After he said that, Chen Fan immediately understood that it was this guy. Bai Sen and Zhu Long are both overlords in the underground world of Huahai. The two have been incompatible for many years. Of course, this so-called overlord level is only for ordinary people. In Chen Fan's eyes, they are just bigger ants. Now this fellow named Bai Sen actually dared to provoke me. Har har, very good. It seems it is time to use certain people to establish my authority. At this moment, more than a dozen cars came speeding over, and hundreds of people got out of the cars, led by Zhu Long, the overlord of South City. Zhu Long stepped forward quickly and said, Master Chen, I received news that old man Bai was going to harm you, so I immediately brought people here. Are you okay? After he finished speaking, he noticed the blood-covered man in Chen Fan's hand. The guns scattered on the ground and the wall with a big hole not far away seemed to be telling something. Chen Fan's speed was so fast that wherever he passed, the surrounding grass and trees were cut off as if a hurricane had passed through. Everything in front of me quickly formed a vivid picture. That is, after Chen Fan sensed the presence of the sniper, he acted like lightning, blasted the wall, and completely subdued the sniper in the blink of an eye. Zhu Long suddenly felt ridiculous. Isn't it ridiculous enough to worry about whether a strong man of this level might be in danger? Chapter 27. You are not good enough for my daughter. I leave this person to you. Chen Fan threw the sniper over and said, Go contact the person behind him and tell him that I need an explanation for this matter, otherwise I will take action myself. I want to see if he has anyone who can stop me. Now that Zhu Long was here, he was too lazy to bother. They are all from the same circle, so just let them negotiate. If negotiation fails, he will do it himself. Zhu Long happily accepted it, as this kind of negotiation naturally included benefits for him. Zhu Long came and went quickly. The people in the villa had no idea what was going on. They just saw a large group of people suddenly appear. The leader said a few words to Chen Fan and immediately took everyone away. Although Zhu Long is very famous, he is not known to ordinary people. The only person at the scene who knew him was He Jun. He Jun is in the hotel business and has to deal with all kinds of people. Naturally, he would recognize this legendary overlord of South City. With his status, he didn't even have the qualifications to talk to Zhu Long, but now Zhu Long was being treated with such respect by Chen Fan. He Jun suddenly realized that he had underestimated Chen Fan. Chen Fan's identity is definitely one of the top ones in Huahai. He was nearly frightened silly. So after Chen Fan returned to the villa, He Jun immediately said to his wife in a stern voice, Hurry up and apologize to Mr. Chen. If you don't apologize, don't even think about entering our He family's door again. Wang Aryu was completely confused. Chen Fan was a bit rich, but was he worth her being so servile? However, He Jun always had the final say at home, so she didn't dare to refute him. She could only say politely, "I'm sorry, everything just now was my fault. Please don't hold grudges against me. Mr. Chen, please don't bother with her. This is my business card. Please feel free to use me if you need me in the future." He Jun also handed over his business card, and his respectful attitude left everyone dumbfounded. They couldn't understand why He Jun's attitude changed so quickly. Only He Jun felt as if he had eaten bitter herbs. Killing him by the person who could make Zhu Long bow down would be no different from stepping on an ant. How could he dare to offend such a big shot? It's all Wang Aryu's fault. If she hadn't been so arrogant, things wouldn't have turned out like this. He Jun has already made up his mind that after this incident, he will find a way to kick this stupid woman out of the house. A family gathering went by without any incident. To Su Xinran and other relatives, He Jun and Zhu Long were too far away from them, and they had no idea what made these people so powerful. But the 50 million villa in Hongyang Villa is real. As soon as they returned, they couldn't help but spread the news, saying how rich one of their relatives' boyfriend was and how he spent 50 million to buy a villa in Hongyang Villa. The circle in a small place is very small. This matter soon reached the ears of Su Xinran's father Su Xinran. Su Xinran and Wu Mai divorced when Su Xinran was 3 years old. The reason for the divorce was not because of a breakdown in their relationship, but because Su Xinran wanted to climb higher. After the divorce, he married a woman who looked very ordinary but had a strong background. Thanks to that woman's relationship, he successfully climbed to the position of director of the municipal office over the years. This position can be considered as a high and powerful one, and is ranked among the top 10 in the entire Huahai political circle. Although they had divorced long ago, Su Xinran did not give up on his daughter Su Xinran's marriage. In his eyes, his daughter's beauty is an advantage, and marrying her to some important figures in the future will also help his career. Now hearing that his daughter had found a rich boyfriend, Su Xinran was immediately shocked. He investigated Chen Fan's background and found out that he had no background at all. He was born in a county town and was at most a local rich man. This result made Su Xinran silently shake his head. Regardless of Chen Fan's status and position, he did not meet the standards of a son-in-law. What is the use of having some money without power? Finally, Su Xinran decided to intervene personally. The next morning, Su Xinran received a call from Jinling. The call was from Jinling University, announcing that she had been admitted to Jinling University Medical School. Su Xinran has been working and preparing for postgraduate studies during this period. The Jinling University where she applied was ranked among the top 10 universities in all of China, so Su Xinran was not sure. Who would have thought that he would be admitted so quickly? When the news spread, the whole family was happy for her. If you are admitted to graduate school, you should enroll as soon as possible. So after lunch, Chen Fan drove Su Xinran to the train station. At the entrance of the train station, Su Xinran couldn't help but be moved and hugged Chen Fan and kissed him repeatedly. Chen Fan was also aroused. If it wasn't in such a public place, he would probably have raped Su Xinran. Before leaving, Su Xinran reluctantly said, "After I leave, you are not allowed to flirt with other women. If I find out that you are flirting with other women, I will not forgive you." After saying that, Su Xinran waved his little fist and looked fierce. Chen Fan smiled. Watching Su Xinran disappear in the crowd, Chen Fan felt a little reluctant. He wanted to go to Jinling with Su Xinran, but before that he wanted to settle his parents. He had made so much money now, and his parents couldn't live in poverty like before. Chen Fan plans to invite his parents over to enjoy a peaceful life during this new year. On their way back, Chen Fan was stopped by a black business car. A middle-aged man with a great temperament got out of the car, followed by 2 burly men. What surprised Chen Fan was that the man looked somewhat like Su Xinran. "Are you Chen Fan?" The man spoke first. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Su Xinran, and I'm Su Xinran's father. This should be the first time we meet. It's my uncle, what's going on?" Chen Fan suddenly realized, no wonder he looked a bit like Su Xinran, it turned out to be her father. "Forget about calling me uncle," Su Xinran said coldly. "I won't beat around the bush with you, let's get straight to the point. It was my connection that allowed her to go to Jinling to attend university. Jinling is not a small place like Huahai. There she can meet more outstanding men and calm down and think carefully about whether she should be with you." Chen Fan frowned when he heard this. It turned out that Su Xinran was the one behind Su Xinran's admission. But what did Su Xinran mean by saying this? Su Xinran continued, I believe that after Xinran sees the wider world, she will understand how foolish her previous choice was. But I'm still worried that you will keep pestering me, so I came out in person to explain things to you. My daughter is not worthy of you. There are not many people in the whole Huahai who are worthy of her. I'll give you 3 days to think of a good reason and take the initiative to break up with her. Otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Let's go. After saying this, Su Xinran was about to leave. But at this time Chen Fan said, wait. It won't take 3 days. I can give you an answer now. Chapter 28 I'll kill you like a dog. Su Xinran turned around with interest. Chen Fan said, my answer is, no. Because you are not qualified. A man who gave up his custody rights when his daughter was young is now standing up to meddle in his daughter's private affairs. I really don't know where he gets the nerve to do that. Su Xinran's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He thought Chen Fan was a sensible person. After all, being able to get his daughter into Jinling University was enough to prove his ability. But who would have thought that Chen Fan turned a blind eye to it? You don't even know who you're talking to. My name is Su Xinran. I suggest you take some time to search this name online so that you can better understand the difference between you and me. It is better to think carefully before making a decision. Decisions made on impulse often lead to irreparable consequences. Young man, the 3 days I just mentioned are still valid. Think about it carefully. It won't be too late to give me an answer after you have thought it through. Su Xinran was about to leave after saying this. But at this time Chen Fan moved. He appeared in front of Su Xinran like a ghost, like lightning. After a few taps in the air, the 2 bodyguards behind Su Xinran suddenly felt numb in their hands and feet, and saw stars. They couldn't even stand and collapsed to the ground. Su Xinran's face changed drastically. He was very clear about the strength of these 2 bodyguards. They were both retired Special Forces soldiers and were proficient in fighting skills. They could hold their own even when facing 10 people alone. But now they were knocked to the ground after just one encounter. How strong could Chen Fan be? At this time, Chen Fan said teasingly, is this what you call the gap? All you rely on is the little power in your hands. This thing may be useful to ordinary people, but what does it mean to me? I will kill you like a butcher dog. Today, I can let it go for Xinran's sake, but I will not let you off easily next time. After saying that, Chen Fan drove away. Su Xinran's face was tense. He had never been threatened like this before. Chen Fan's words echoed in his ears, I will kill you like a butcher dog. Compared to such a strong man, what I just did was simply stupid and ridiculous. But Su Xinran did not intend to surrender. Chen Fan is powerful and has good skills, but if he can beat 2 people, can he beat 20, 200, or even 2,000 people? In his eyes, power is everything. No matter how high his martial arts skills are, he is just a more advanced thug. Su Xinran only thought that the reason for today's failure was that he was not well prepared and did not bring enough people. Instead of thinking that power is useless. Then he made a phone call. Su Xinran's 2 bodyguards remained silent. They wanted to say something but didn't know how to start. Su Xinran was right. Even if ordinary people were good at martial arts, they would ultimately serve the powerful. But that's just ordinary people. The strong ones who have truly practiced kung fu to the extreme are all high and mighty. Even those powerful people are just bigger ants in their eyes and can be crushed to death at any time. The man named Chen Fan just now gave them this feeling. On the other side, Chen Fan received a call from Xinlian, saying that he wanted to invite him to dinner. The 2 chose to meet in a high-end restaurant. As soon as they met, Xinlian said nervously, Brother Fan, do you know? We have almost finished investigating the old man's poisoning, but he suddenly stopped us from investigating. Not allowed to check. Chen Fan asked curiously, why? Xinlian, who knows? It has been basically confirmed that the attacker this time is an underground force in Huahai, led by a woman named Rose. No one knows what she looks like or what her name is. Rose should be a pseudonym. Maybe this organization has some background. But it shouldn't be like this. Why would those powerful people come to a poor place like Huahai to set up an underground organization? Xinlian was puzzled. Chen Fan also nodded. Even the Shen family doesn't dare to investigate. It seems that this organization is indeed not simple. You should know that behind the Shen family is the Jiangbei Li family. The Li family is the local tyrant of 7 cities in Jiangbei and is a large family that has produced many powerful figures. The Shen family was supported by the Li family. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are the strongest family in a small place like Huahai. But now they dare not investigate. At this time, Shen Lian said again, "Brother Fan, you should be careful. If that organization knows that you saved our old man, I'm afraid they will cause trouble for you." In addition to saying this during this meal today, I also want to thank you for saving our old man. If it weren't for you, our Shen family would definitely be in danger. Anyway, if you need anything from me in the future, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will do it for you, even if it means going through fire and water. After saying that, Shen Lian raised his glass and drank it all. At this moment, a police car stopped suddenly. The car was filled with armed police officers. The driver was Ma Jun, captain of the District Armed Police Brigade. This time, he was entrusted by Su Xinran to capture Chen Fan. Chen Fan actually didn't do anything wrong, but since Su Xinran had spoken, Ma Jun had to come. The only thing he can blame is that he offended Su Xinran. Before coming, Ma Jun had found out that Chen Fan was a master with amazing skills. So he not only brought people, but also guns. After catching up with Chen Fan, Ma Jun was eager to catch him. But the next second, his face changed drastically. Because he saw the person who was talking to Chen Fan. Shen Lian, young Master Shen. He is the 3rd generation of the Shen family and a powerful figure. But now this top dignitary in Huahai is actually toasting Chen Fan? And his expression was indescribably respectful. This. Ma Jun was so frightened. Chapter 29 The Best Beauty. You must know that the Shen family's power in Huahai is terrifying. Basically, everyone who has a say in Huahai's political circles is more or less related to the Shen family. A mere captain of the armed police detachment, arresting someone that all the direct descendants of the Shen family respect, isn't this courting death? Ma Jun was so depressed that he cursed Su Xinran's ancestors for 18 generations in his heart. He immediately ordered the mission to be aborted. The team members were all confused. What the hell was going on? After returning home, Ma Jun called Su Xinran and asked, "Su Xinran, are you kidding me? What's wrong, Captain Ma?" Su Xinran was confused. What else? You asked me to arrest someone without even knowing his identity. Aren't you trying to trick me? Are you still a country rich guy? Are there any country rich guys who eat with the direct descendants of the Shen family? I discovered the loss early, otherwise it would be all over. By then, not only will I be finished, but you will also be finished. Can you afford to offend the Shen family? After saying that, Ma Jun hung up the phone. Su Xinran was even more confused. Is Chen Fan a guest of honor of the Shen family? How is this possible? What qualifications does this country bumpkin have? A country rich man, what's wrong with the Shen family? How dare they make friends with such a person? Su Xinran was puzzled. At the same time, inside the restaurant, Chen Fan and Shen Lian's eyes were both attracted by a woman who was drinking in the corner. This is a very beautiful woman. She has delicate facial features, skin as white as snow, and a very hot figure. Her waist-length hair reveals a flat belly without a trace of fat. Her long legs are wrapped in black stockings and she is wearing a pair of crystal brick patent high heels, making her look extremely sexy and charming. More importantly, she has an inexplicable cold temperament, like a snowy mountain that has been frozen for thousands of years, giving off an aura of no approach allowed. This kind of breath can especially stimulate a man's desire to conquer. What a beauty that captivates everyone. Chen Fan is a well-informed person. Su Xinran and Zhu Xian are both top-notch beauties, but they are still slightly inferior to this woman in temperament. If he was amazed when he saw Su Xinran and Zhu Xian, then he would never forget this woman. Even after several months, he would still be thinking about her and feeling moved. The woman was drinking alone in the corner, guzzling bottle after bottle, and in the blink of an eye she had finished more than a dozen bottles. During this period, many people came to say hello, and many showed off their education and wealth, but they all came back empty-handed. When the woman was about to get drunk, a few shabby-dressed men came up to her. The leading man said with a smile, "Wife, why are you drinking here alone? Who are you? Who is your wife?" The woman subconsciously waved her hands to chase the man away, but the man stepped forward and patted her on the shoulder. Immediately, the woman's consciousness began to blur, her head felt so heavy that she almost fell on the table. People around who didn't understand thought she was drunk, but Chen Fan saw it clearly. It was that man who did it. When the man touched the woman's shoulder, he put a very thin needle between his fingers. There was some drug similar to anesthetic on the needle. When he patted her shoulder, the needle was inserted. The man helped the woman up and said with a smile, "Wife, are you drunk? How come you don't even recognize me? Let's go home." After saying that, he was about to take the woman away. "Is she your wife? You just take her away like that." Chen Fan couldn't bear to watch it anymore and stood up. He is not a troublemaker, but what this guy did was really despicable. A hint of vigilance flashed across the man's face. "Of course she is my wife. How else could she be your wife?" "Chen Fan, okay, then tell me what her name is. You should know your own wife's name, right?" The man was stunned. How could he know this woman's name? Chen Fan immediately said, "You don't even know her name, so how can you say she is your wife? And if she was really your wife, would you have to drug her? I saw everything else in your fingers." As soon as these words came out, the man's face became extremely ugly. He winked at both sides, and the two men behind him rushed out quickly. One of the men swung a chair and smashed it on Chen Fan's head. Chen Fan dodged easily and kicked the attacker away with a whip kick. The man flew out like a kite with a broken string, and finally hit the ground, leaving a deep hole in the solid wood floor. The other man was so stunned that he didn't dare to move. Logically speaking, he should go up and teach Chen Fan a lesson, but this guy is so powerful, wouldn't he be courting death if he goes up there himself? The leading man knew that he had met a tough opponent. He put the woman down and said viciously, "Boy, do you know who I am? You dare to go against me? You are looking for death." "Oh." Chen Fan asked with interest, "Who are you?" "My name is Wang Bo. Haotian Steel is owned by my family." After saying, "Bang," Chen Fan slapped him hard. "Sorry, I haven't heard of it." "You fucking horse," Wang Bo said with his eyes wide open, "my father is worth hundreds of millions. How dare you touch me?" Bang. Another slap. Chen Fan, having a net worth of hundreds of millions is impressive, but what does it have to do with you? And even if someone has a net worth of hundreds of millions, he has no right to speak like that in front of me. You'd better think about what cards you have. If there's nothing that interests me, don't even think about walking out today. Seeing Chen Fan's slap about to fall, Wang Bo said quickly, "Shen Lian. Shen Lian from the Shen family is my brother." This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Chen Fan was really stunned this time. Is this boy Shen Lian's younger brother? Then why didn't Shen Lian say anything for such a long time? Seeing that Chen Fan didn't make a move, Wang Bo thought he was frightened, and immediately said smugly, "Are you scared now? My brother is Shen Lian of the Shen family. Can you afford to offend the Shen family?" Chen Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He really didn't know whether to say he was stupid or dumb. He turned and looked at Shen Lian. "Is this really your brother?" Shen Lian's face turned black, and he immediately stood up and asked, "Who are you? Do I know you?" He only has a few brothers, how could there be such a person? This guy is obviously using his reputation to bully others. Wang Bo had never expected Shen Lian to appear here. He said in bewilderment, "Mr. Shen, why are you here?" "Shen Lian, why? I can't come here." "You want to make it clear, when did I have a brother like you?" Wang Bo said awkwardly, "Mr. Shen, you are really a forgetful person. We had dinner together in Langya Pavilion last time. When we were eating, I called you brother and you didn't refute it." Shen Lian was so angry that his nose was almost crooked. He loved making friends, and there were so many people who called him brother when they ate together. If that was true, then he would have younger brothers all over the world. "Shen Lian, don't use my name to do things in the future. I have nothing to do with you. Also, don't say you are not my brother. Even if you are my brother, I can't save you if you offend Brother Fan." Fan, Brother Fan. Wang Bo was so confused that he stuttered. How terrifying must the identity of a person who even Shen Lian called Brother Fan be? How could he shout in front of such a person? He was simply courting death. He immediately slapped himself twice, begging for mercy with a sad face. "Brother Fan, please forgive me, please let me go." When Chen Fan was about to speak, he suddenly noticed that the woman next to him had a sudden rise in body temperature and her body was flushed. Chapter 30 Lin Aoshua. Chen Fan's face darkened, and he immediately realized that the needle was stained with more than just anesthetic. This kind of reaction would never occur with just anesthesia. He immediately picked up the woman and said, "Mr. Shen, I'll leave this to you. I'll go first." Shen Lian said with a sly smile, "Har har, Brother Fan is really lucky. Don't worry, I'll take care of this." Chen Fan knew he was misunderstood, but there was no time to explain anything, so he quickly carried the woman into the car. He didn't want to take advantage of her, but planned to take the woman to the hospital for gastric lavage. Although this woman is very beautiful, Chen Fan cannot do such a thing as taking advantage of someone in distress. After the car started driving for a while, the woman woke up. Although he was awake, he was not in a good state. The woman's breath was heavy and her body fragrance was overwhelming. After a while, the woman came over and put her arms around Chen Fan's neck. "Stop driving." Chen Fan knew that the drug was taking effect, but he didn't want to take advantage of her. "Beautiful girl, hold on a little longer, we'll be at the hospital soon. I have held out for a long time." The woman said, "I can't hold out any longer now. Give it to me, and I won't hold you responsible." After saying that, she pressed even closer. Chen Fan felt a little suffocated. The woman was undoubtedly extremely beautiful. Even those superstars on the screen who were chosen from among thousands could not compare to her. Her arrogant and cold temperament was really tempting to make a move, especially since she had a lot of capital and now she was all over him. Chen Fan's mouth was dry, but he still suppressed his desire. "Beauty, please bear with it for a while. I told you. I can't help it." The woman's voice suddenly became high-pitched, but she seemed to realize that this was not a good idea, and immediately lowered her body and begged, "Please, just be a good person to the end, and send the Buddha to the west." Looking at the woman's pitiful and touching appearance, Chen Fan could no longer suppress the desire in his heart. "I was already angry when I sent Su Xinran off this morning, but I hadn't resolved it yet. I just suppressed it. Now the fire is getting worse and I can't hold it in anymore." He quickly found a secluded place to park, closed all the windows, and then leaned down. The woman exclaimed. That night, Chen Fan was drunk and dreaming. The two of them each displayed their unique skills and fought to the death. As the saying goes, when two chess players meet their worthy opponents, they fought and grappled with each other. Both of them enjoyed themselves thoroughly and got the greatest satisfaction. The fighting lasted so late at night that we woke up only at noon the next day. Looking at the naked and beautiful woman in front of him, Chen Fan felt like he was dreaming. "I didn't expect that my first time would be gone like this. But it's not a loss to the woman next to him. This woman is really too beautiful, with exquisite facial features. No matter which part of her body, it is hard to let go. The more you look at her, the more you like her." Chen Fan looked at the woman for a long time before she opened her sleepy eyes. She didn't scream or be shy as Chen Fan imagined. Instead, he acted as if he was doing a trivial thing. He looked around first and then put on his clothes silently. His face regained its icy coldness, as if he didn't want anyone to come near him. The seductiveness from last night completely disappeared, and everything seemed like a dream. "Thanks for last night." The woman took out a stack of banknotes from her bag and threw them at Chen Fan. "This is hush money. If it's not enough, I can give you more. But you have to remember that you are not allowed to disclose this to anyone else. Just pretend it never happened. Do you understand?" Seeing that Chen Fan didn't say anything, the woman put on her high heels, opened the car door and left. But the moment her toes touched the ground, pain spread throughout her body. Her brows furrowed, and a trace of human resentment appeared on her face. The resentment was fleeting, and the woman quickly returned to her previous cold attitude. She was like a white swan, with elegance and nobility in her every move. Finally, the woman hailed a taxi on the side of the road and sped away. Looking at the stack of banknotes in front of him, Chen Fan was confused. "What's going on? Are you treating yourself like a duck?" And although the woman didn't say anything domineering, the tone of her voice really kept people at a distance. She obviously had no plans to have any further development with him, otherwise she wouldn't have left even her name and contact information. The woman's family background was obviously good, and an ordinary family could not cultivate such a temperament. Despite so much that happened last night, the woman didn't even think about getting to know Chen Fan, which showed that she ignored Chen Fan. This made Chen Fan speechless. After all, he was driving a luxury car worth tens of millions, and this could be ignored. This woman was really arrogant. Of course he wouldn't worry about this, there's no need. When packing up, Chen Fan suddenly saw a conspicuous red color on the seat cushion. Chen Fan couldn't help but be surprised. The woman was very proactive yesterday. He thought she was a seasoned lover, but he didn't expect she was the same as him. The last bit of grudge in his heart was gone. After putting on his clothes, Chen Fan found a business card in the gap. It must have been left there accidentally by the woman just now. Written on it were the 3 characters, Lin Aoshue, and a phone number. Lin Aoshue? Could it be the name of the woman just now? She is so cold and aloof, her name really suits her. Chen Fan looked at the business card for a long time, and finally couldn't help but dial Shen Lian's number. He wanted to find out where this woman came from. It was because of the possessiveness in a man's heart. After all, Lin Aoshue is his first woman, and she is so beautiful. Brother Fan, are you awake? The call was connected, and Shen Lian grinned evilly. Chen Fan was helpless. Mr. Shen, I want to ask you about someone. Do you know Lin Aoshue? This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Lin Aoshue. Holy crap! The girl you brought over yesterday was Lin Aoshue? Brother Fan, you are so awesome. I admire you so much. You can even. Shen Lian screamed strangely on the other end of the phone. Chen Fan was speechless. Shen Lian said, Brother Fan, Lin Aoshue's background is not simple. She can be said to be the most prominent person in the entire Huahai. Once. Yes, Lin Aoshue's father, Lin Zhongqian, is a man of the hour. He founded Zhongqian Pharmaceutical, which has assets worth hundreds of billions. He was once the richest man in Jiang province. My grandfather, the richest man in Huahai, is nothing compared to Lin Zhongqian. However, Lin Zhongqian died in a car accident a few years ago, and Tianchen Group has been in a slump ever since. It has been on a downward spiral and finally had to retreat to Huahai. But I heard that even then the company couldn't survive and was on the verge of bankruptcy. Of course, Lin Aoshue is a strong-willed person. Countless powerful and wealthy people in the city and province have offered to help her through the difficult times, and all they asked for was a kiss with her. But Lin Aoshue never agreed. Otherwise, Tianchen Group would not have reached this point now. Brother Fan, you have plucked this beauty that so many big shots can't even get. That's why I say you are so lucky. After figuring out what was going on, Chen Fan drove back. Not long after the car started moving, several cars started chasing after it. Leading the group was a Toyota Prado, which was obviously a modified car. Its performance was extremely good and it accelerated very quickly. It caught up in the blink of an eye. The other cars formed a siege, obviously heading for Chen Fan. Chapter 31 Lolita Boss. Although he didn't know where the other party came from, it was obvious that they had no good intentions. Chen Fan didn't want to cause trouble, so he stepped on the accelerator and planned to get rid of these people first. Buzz. 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 A Ferrari was leading in the front, and a dozen cars of various colors were following closely behind, whizzing past. As Chen Fan was driving, he realized something was wrong. Although the cars behind him didn't look expensive and were all unknown brands, their performance was better than the other. Not only did they accelerate quickly, but their top speed was also frighteningly fast. His Ferrari is a top-of-the-line ordinary car, but its speed is even slower than those unknown brands of cars behind it. It can be seen that these unknown brands of cars have all been modified. I really don't know what kind of guys they are helping, and they are so persistent in getting behind him. Modifying a car is very expensive. Usually, spending a few million on a car is not a small amount. The fact that the other party can deploy so many modified cars shows that their background is not ordinary. It is simply impossible to get rid of these modified cars on a normal road because the performance gap is there. Thinking of this, Chen Fan turned around and drove towards the nearby winding mountain road. These winding mountain roads are very rugged, have large corners, and are relatively narrow. There is no point in driving fast on this kind of road, it's purely a matter of skill. Seeing Chen Fan going into the mountains, those modified cars were not to be outdone and went into the mountains one after another. After they entered, their speed did not slow down much. They were all very familiar with the route and were obviously good racers. However, when Chen Fan arrived at this place, he was like a fish in water. Normal cars would need to slow down for many bends, but he simply increased his speed and passed through at an exaggerated angle. This angle seemed extremely dangerous to others, and one could end up falling off the cliff and dying if one was not careful. However, Chen Fan completed it repeatedly without any danger at all. This feels like walking on a tightrope. Everyone else has to be extremely careful and cautious for fear of falling. But Chen Fan ran as if he were walking on flat ground, even on a tightrope, so the difference in speed naturally emerged. In just a few minutes, he had opened up a gap with those modified cars. The drivers behind watched Chen Fan gradually disappear from their sight, gritting their teeth but unable to do anything. They also couldn't understand why this happened. The organization had clearly given them the best modified cars, and they were all experts in racing. Many of them had won prizes in provincial competitions. But now they were chasing an ordinary person, and they couldn't catch up. What's even more abnormal is that the guy actually took every corner at the highest speed, and there was no problem after so many times. Isn't this technique too abnormal? Such skills are worthy of being called a god. Even in those international racing competitions, he is the best. How could I be so unlucky to meet such a master? Several drivers were very depressed. It took Chen Fan about 10 minutes to get rid of these followers. Before he could even breathe a sigh of relief, his face turned dark. He saw that the exit of the winding mountain road was blocked by 2 vans, and a dozen ferocious-looking men with machetes in their hands were waiting in front of the cars. Chen Fan really wanted to ask, "Can't afford to play. We were supposed to be racing, so what's going on with chasing and blocking people from both ends?" He was too lazy to bother with this. Since these guys were so ignorant of life and death, he would let them know how powerful he was. A few minutes later, the dozen or so modified cars caught up. Leading their way was still the Toyota Prado. The car door opened and a girl in Lolita jumped out. Chen Fan never thought that the person driving this kind of car would be a cute little girl. That's right, it's Loli. The girl was less than 1.6 meters tall, very petite, with thin arms and legs, and a baby face. She looked no more than 14 or 15 years old. She has outstanding facial features, picturesque eyebrows, a high nose bridge, and a cherry mouth. She looks very pure and lovely, and is simply invincible in youth. The only flaw is the heavy makeup on her face, especially the purple eyeliner, which makes her look a bit alternative and rebellious. "Aren't you a fast runner? Now run another one for me to see." As soon as the girl appeared, she stared at Chen Fan with resentment, obviously very angry about what had just happened. Chen Fan was speechless. "Little sister, we have no grudges in the past and no hatred in the present? Is it necessary to force each other so hard? Who is the little sister?" "I'm already 18, the girl said angrily, "and I was the one who poisoned Su Xinran. You saved him and ruined my good deeds. How dare you say you have no grudge against me?" Chen Fan was dumbfounded and said, "Did you poison Su Xinran?" "Right." The girl said proudly, "I am Rose, these are my brothers. Now you are surrounded by my people, let's see where you can run." Chen Fan was really shocked this time. The Rose organization is developing rapidly and has become the third largest force in Huahai's underground circle after Long and Bison. Who would have thought that the person who founded such a powerful force was actually a cute little girl? Is this the legendary Loli boss? Seeing Chen Fan's dumbfounded expression, Rose was very proud. "You ruined my good deeds, and now you have fallen into my hands. What else do you have to say?" "Chen Fan, I'm a little confused. Why did you poison Su Xinran?" "Rose, because he wanted to take advantage of me, isn't that enough?" Chen Fan was so upset. He didn't expect Su Xinran to like this. No wonder. "So that's how it is, what are you going to do?" Chen Fan asked. "Rose, it's simple. I see that you are a good doctor and your driving skills are just so-so. So, as long as you stay with me, I won't mind if you offend me. I'm already very good to give you this opportunity. There are many people out there who want to hang out with me, but I won't accept them." Chen Fan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and said jokingly, "Rose, right. I'm really not interested in hanging out with you, but you're so pretty, if you're willing to hang out with me I might consider it." "Boy, you are so shameless, aren't you? Our boss thinks highly of you and gave you this opportunity. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you put on airs in front of our boss? That's right. If you dare not agree today, I will fucking kill you." As soon as he finished speaking, a few thugs started shouting. Chen Fan's face suddenly darkened.